everyone. Thank you so much for all the super chats here. We're back this Wednesday for Arc 6, Chapter 13 and 14. I have my lovely cast and crew. It's a smaller group today. This week is going to be a smaller group. Oh my gosh, thank you all. We're going to get caught up with the host. Without further ado, let me make sure I'm in the right one. Could you guys say hello in our chat here so I could hear your voices?
Hello. In our chat here.
Oh,
Hello in our chat here.
Okay, smarties. All right, good, we can hear
Okay, stop.
Big thank you to all the donations. We love it all. Thank you all so much. It means the world to us that you all want to see this terrible production we're going to make after it.
Yes. Thank you, Snowy. Thank you, Zoc. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Super Trollin. Welcome, Jack, to the hosting company, and thank you, Greenie, as always. Our goal today is, I think it's 10 teal super chats. I don't know. I just tried it out because YouTube told me to. So we could get Lustiff funding going.
Yeah, 10 teal super chats.
Yeah.
I like the color teal. That's one of my favorite shades of blue. What about you guys?
Teal is so nice.
Yeah, same.
Or is it a shade of green? I don't know. That's a good question.
Both.
That's a philosophy.
Technically, it is a blend of both.
It's a blend.
A shade is applying black to the color, and a tint is applying white to it.
It's
and
a
this
black.
is neither. There's a blend.
Sorry.
It's blue and green. It's bleen.
A bleen.
Bleen.
Bleen. Oh.
A balloon.
Bleen sounds gross. I don't like that.
That sounds like an extra organ someone who suffers from radiation grows.
Like if we're making colors like that, then what do you get when you mix pink and blue? Pew.
Pew pew.
No.
You get a tint of purple.
Or bink.
Bink.
Well, I mean the name.
Bink.
Bink.
Oh Thank you so
Or
much,
just
Jack
blink.
of all trades, for the 5 gifted memberships.
Thank you, Jack
Thanks
of all
for bringing
trades.
people in.
Oh my! Thank you so much.
I gotta see what that is in Lustiff terms. I'm gonna adjust that by the end of probably this discussion before we start at the chapter. Without further ado, while you guys are doing that, let's introduce our cast we have here with us today. Al, take us away. And on me.
Hello, I am Al, a narrator, and someone that Studio Reverie is locked in their basement. Hi, I'm doing fine.
That's crazy.
Yep, you're doing fine.
Well, okay, well that cat's out of the bag, so we gotta make sure that you don't get out. Hi, I'm Connor. I'm your voice of Julius and the voice of Rom for our live recordings. Host this Studio Reverie, or not Studio Reverie, ReZero podcast, which is doing great. We've had some great episodes out recently. And for, just so you know, Kyle's, it's going to be going up by 0.8% for all the memberships.
Okay,
or
thank you.
$8.
Thank you. For each one? Or all together?
Total.
Oh,
from all the
perfect.
ones that are in this chat.
Oh, that's so much easier to add. Thank you!
And
Yeah, we
I
sure
am
will, Troller.
Gold. I am also a part of the ReZero podcast, and we have been putting out so many episodes lately. It's been crazy, and hope you guys have been enjoying them, though. They are, I mean, we're close to being done with the web novel, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy to say. Literally, this Friday, we're recording us being caught up. So, yeah.
congrats.
Oh my god, true.
Oh, good luck.
Yeah, phase 2 so far.
Wow.
And I have no lines today. I'm just chilling. I'm just here for the ride.
All right, I'm Greenie, one of the editors, and also I am here chilling as well for this one.
Yay! Thank you for donating. I didn't even realize you were here. Hi. Thanks.
Yeah.
I am Carmen, the voice of Maylee, as well as one of the editors. However, today I will just be a humble narrator.
Whoop, whoop. I'm Kyles. I'm normally Amelia, but she ain't here right now, so I'm covering Anastasia Hoshin with my terrible southern accent.
Hello all, I am Tealdi. I am the voice of Krush and other things, and maybe narrating part of a chapter today. We'll see. Otherwise, I'm just vibing.
Vibe.
Hello everyone, Wolf here. I voice Subaru. I'm also one of the hosts for the ReZero podcast, and that is going, as the boys have said, so hard at the moment. So if you are caught up or in the midst of catching up to the web novel right now, the ReZero podcasts are perfect companion pieces whenever you finish a phase, from Arc 7 to 8, and now for 9.
Yay! We have some
Yeah.
boss-ass thumbnails
Yes!
coming up for ya. You all been loving it. I love making them. I like when the boys tell me what to put on and I have no idea what's going on. But I'm glad you enjoy. What else is like? Oh, there was something I actually had to say. Fuck. I think we're almost confirmed. I don't know 100%. I believe I could say it. But if you happen to be at Anime Ottawa not this weekend, but the weekend after, Wolf and I will be hosting a panel if all still goes well. We will be putting that out should my father actually help us record. We will be posting that online for everyone to receive after our panel at Anime Ottawa. If you happen to be there, come say hello. We're going to try to do something nice and fun for those of you who are able to show up. And yeah, so if you get to come by, come say hi. We'll give it an exact time and whenever, once we get everything confirmed. Yay.
Congratulations to us.
Yay.
First panel.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's hype.
Congratulations.
It kind of feels like a fraud because I know the people there, so it's not sound like a full, real, actualized panel.
But you know,
buddy.
oh, whatever. You earned it.
Yeah, whatever.
It's more like an
yeah.
excuse for a meetup.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
I have an excuse to buy the Amelia Arc 6 outfit, and it's comfy as hell. I have not taken it off
nice,
since I got it.
Nice.
So
Is it comfy?
nice.
Wow.
Oh my god, it's
How
so
long
comfy.
have you been wearing it for?
I got it yesterday. I took it off to go to work, and then I put it back on today, and I showered before wearing it both times.
Okay.
It's clean.
Okay.
Very nice. Good.
Good.
Yeah, I was imagining going to work and everyone just going, huh.
As an educator, this is not the outfit to educate in, I gotta say.
Yeah, don't do that.
I don't know
There is
about
no
that. That's a
spirit
bit questionable.
that would ever allow for it.
Yeah, and no, not in the. Yeah, no, I wouldn't even feel in
No.
even the little. No,
Not in my Christian Minecraft server.
exactly. I like.
You could get a
dressing
lot
like
of
a
views
nun.
on TikTok doing the what I dress as a teacher and then put on all your Amelia
Yeah.
cosplays
my
instead.
God.
Oh my god.
You
Yes.
see, for teaching, the T-Rex costume is fine. Everything else is off.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
T-Rex or nothing.
You can't see shoulders in a T-Rex costume.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No exposed
No
shoulders.
bare
What the hell?
shoulders.
Or slim fit.
Accidentally walked with my sweater off bare shoulders. It was scary the other day.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Shudder.
Uh-oh.
All right.
God.
We are. I'm getting us off topic. Oh my gosh. Are you guys ready to get
Yeah.
started?
Lock into the chapter.
the fucking.
I'm so ready.
Yeah, everyone turn off your lights, light some candles, put on some spooky music in the background. So you're going to be in for a good time tonight. And thank you again, Jack, for 5 more gifted memberships.
Oh my goodness, Jack. Thank you.
Thank you so
Another-
much.
0.5%.
Woohoo. I will turn off the notifications when we start up the chapter read. Just so you know, we will thank you if you add anything in while we are reading. And we'll thank everyone, of course. I'll let the Amelia Anones go through before we get started. Because they're just
Classic.
everything. Bow, bow, bow,
Nice.
bow.
Oh, there's the second one.
Fantastic. Such a great sound. I'm so glad it was available to us.
If you all in the chat didn't know, memberships are early access rights to any of our podcasts that come out before their full release date. As soon as we have them ready, we put them up, and you have them until they actually go out. It's great.
Wee. I will be cranking out a podcast hopefully tonight, so if all goes well, upload everything. It should be available either late tonight or early in the morning. I am currently evening time, depending when you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Woo. Thank you, everybody. All right, I think it's time. Narrator Kun, are you ready?
Hi.
Hi. the rest of us, which is 3 of us, myself, Connor, Wolf, are we ready?
Yes.
Excellent. Oh, you guys can't even hear the anone. I gotta fix that.
They were on last time, so
I
I'm not sure.
probably hit
Strange.
something. Oh well, I'll fix it later. For now, she's going.
I sit staring at the
night-night.
error sheet.
You ready to collect errors? I gotta follow up with people's errors, actually.
Oh, I'm ready.
I'm ready. All right, I'm gonna set up my screen real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Can you feel it, Mr. Krabs? I'm sorry. I need help today. Oh, goodness. All right, Common, when you are ready, take it away.
Okay. Arc 6, Chapter 13. Ridicule of the Sands. Space distorted. The world broke. And they fell straight into the rift in reality that formed. As it were made of fragile thin paper, the world was easily torn apart. Swallowed by this distorted space, Subaru's eardrums heard no sound despite the overwhelming visual spectacle. He only heard a voice screaming as if someone were calling him. Even that became distant and eventually vanished entirely. The sensation of touch also drifted away. Fingers that had been clinging to him peeled off, and the distance between them grew. With no one around, abandoned in this empty place, it seemed like he had become completely alone, tormented by that loneliness and sorrow. Subaru's consciousness slowly floated back into the surface. And then...
How long are you planning to sleep? Wake up already, Barasu.
Feeling something sharp at his side, Subaru shut up with a yelp from a sudden jab. Having jumped up reflexively, the sand clinging onto his body fell to the ground. Coughing, he spat out dirt which had gotten into his mouth.
What? What happened?
Rubbing his eyes, he checked his surroundings as he rose to his feet. With shaky knees and a poor foothold, he staggered to his feet awkwardly. Beneath his feet, a sea of fine grains of sand remained. As his consciousness returned, Subaru could determine that this was an extension of the Agoria sand dunes. However, the view around him was not clear because it was dark. Far too dark. Amidst the darkness where glazing his own hands was not possible, Subaru's eyes caught the presence of a small artificial light.
You can sleep so well in such an emergency. It is amazing. No words.
A stern voice hit him, and the owner of the light snorted. That which emitted the light was a type of magical stone. Processed lagnomite ore had been fashioned into a tool like a lantern. Looking at the face illuminated by the light, Subaru raised his eyebrows.
Ram, is that you?
Who else could you see? Rem? That's a ridiculous guess.
You and Rem look alike, but everything about you makes it obvious you're not her.
In response to Ram, who seemed harsher than usual, Subaru gives a bitter reply. Receiving the lantern from her, he looked around the area, illuminating it.
This place? Where is it? What happened?
Rom also wants to know the whereabouts of this place. As for what happened, it is 3 times worse than what Barasu can imagine.
Does that mean you expect me to be an optimist? Do you look down on pessimists?
In this case, I wonder which is better.
Her reply was probably accompanied by a shrug. In the darkness, where even Ram, who was right beside him, couldn't clearly be seen, the space illuminated by the light felt strangely vast. They had most likely ended up inside some sort of hollow space. Overhead, a faintly high ceiling could be seen, and the continuous walls proved the depth of the area.
Can't feel any airflow. Can't see the sky. You mean we were sent somewhere?
If what Beatrice Sama said before we were separated was correct, then the distortion of space is likely the cause.
Separated? That's right! Separated! Where are the others?
As he listened to Ram's flat, emotionless words, Subaru's understanding finally caught up to reality. He swept the light left and right, searching for any silhouette other than Ram's. But no matter how much he illuminated the area, none of the figures he hoped to see appeared.
As you can see, we were separated. Bars's magic nullified the Watchtower's trick. Maybe instead of going into the right path, we were trapped in a distorted space-time, where we will wander forever. I can't say for sure.
Is now really the time for that? Why are you so calm about this? The fact that it's you and me together means it's totally Yatara!
To Ram's serene explanation, Subaru turned pale and raised his voice. He could easily recall Beatrice's scream and the space tearing open before his eyes. That rift had swallowed the entire group and dragged them into another space. At that time, Subaru and Ram were both traveling along, but they should have been in different groups. Subaru was riding Patrash, and Ram was in the dragon carriage.
Given this kind of separation, it seems physical contact wasn't a condition for who stayed together. At the moment of being drawn into the rift, I believe I was holding Rem. And yet here we are.
Bayako was clinging to me too, but I don't see her anywhere. You don't see her either, right? Don't tell me it's really just you and me here. What kind of pairing is this supposed to be?
If the condition that separated was not contact, then was there any other reason? Their group was composed of 8. There was no particular common feature that only Subaru and Ram shared. Was the group completely random?
No! Figuring out the conditions can wait. More importantly, we have to regroup with everyone. No! There's something even more important. Rem! You and I are a pair. So that makes things a bit better. If everyone else was split up with at least someone, then there's still hope. But if someone ended up alone, and if that someone was Rem, then that would be the worst possible outcome.
Emilia and Julius, the two who had shouldered the group's combat strength this time, should be fine. Meili and Beatrice too would either manage somehow on their own using their respective abilities. As for Anastasia, or rather, Aridna, she likely had a trump card that repelled lust. The rest of the group might even be better off than Subaru and Ram pairing. Although less honorable than other ones, Subaru and Ram's combination was still manageable.
But Rem's a different story.
Unlike the others, Rem can't move or act on her own. Even if someone was alongside her, protecting the perpetually sleeping girl would turn any kind of understanding into the next to impossible task. And the worst of all, if Rem were to be completely isolated from the others, then death would be the only thing that awaited her in this lonely sea sand.
It's important for us to meet up with everyone else, but the top priority is securing Rem! I can't leave her alone in such a lonely place. That alone is absolutely out of the question. I absolutely won't let that happen.
Barasu.
I was the one who said I'd bring her. I thought maybe she could wake up if we met the sage. And now this is what happened. No way. Damn it! Not Rem of all people!
Barasu, calm yourself. Getting worked up right now won't...
Why are you so calm about this? Just because your memories of Rem are gone? Are you even worried about her?
Don't be ridiculous!
Imagining the worst possibility, Subaru started mumbling desperately about the future, and rapidly spat out a stream of despair and regret. Hearing Subaru speak, Ram could not stand it and exploded. She grabbed the front of Subaru's shirt and slammed him hard against the sand wall behind him.
Do you really think you're the only one worried about Rem? Don't get so full of yourself, Barasu. Even without my true feelings, Ram is still Rem's older sister. Don't treat me like a fool! I can still feel a faint connection with her, so at the very least, she's safe for now. Just trust that and calm down for now.
She wasn't making a face that fully exposed her emotions, but in her eyes, which tried to maintain composure, Subaru could clearly see the unrest and sorrow she couldn't hide. Seeing that, he finally let the tension fall from his stiff shoulders. Ram noticed this and let go of him. Released from the wall, Subaru lowered his head.
My bad. I'm sorry. What I said just now, I was being an idiot. Completely out of line.
It's not like that's unusual. Barasu spent all day apologizing for everything dumb that comes out of his mouth just by being alive. You'd never have time to do anything else. So, just stop wasting time.
Yeah. My bad.
Feeling that sharp jab from Ram was her way of settling things. Subaru offered one last apology. Then he slapped his cheeks with all his strength, regaining his fighting spirit. Even if Ram had reassured him about Rem's current safety, the fear that she might be alone or all alone hadn't vanished. The urgency of reuniting with the others hadn't changed.
Anyway, let's hurry and regroup. Ram, can't you use that shared sense thing to track where Rem is?
It's difficult. Since she's asleep, all I can really sense is her heartbeat. If we're talking about other options, there is clairvoyance, but that's not something we can rely on.
Why not?
These sand dunes are crawling with witch beasts, and there are almost no ordinary animals or plants around. Clairvoyance is not able to borrow their sights if their wavelength does not match with Rom's. It doesn't work with witch beasts. At this time, Rom is only able to borrow the eyes from Barasu's ground dragon.
Patrichet, huh? Still, that's more than enough. If Patrichet or even Gian are with someone, I want to confirm that. Having the dragon carriage intact would be especially helpful.
That wouldn't be very useful.
Subaru felt frustrated at Ram's disinterested attitude and tilted his head in thought. Now was the time to collect as much information as possible in order to regroup. And yet, he was unable to understand why Ram was hesitating here. However, the answer appeared before he could even put doubt into his words.
Huh?
Suddenly, out of the corner of his eyes, Subaru noticed a light that didn't come from his lantern. Memories of that dreadful light flashed vividly through his mind, and Subaru instinctively flinched. But what appeared was unrelated, something moving with a gentle glow. The light gradually came closer, and slowly the figure became clearer.
Ramson, Natsuki-kun, it seems that your discussion's over.
Anastasia and Patrichet?
Hearing the familiar Kararagi dialect, Subaru slightly lifted his head in surprise. Looking ahead, he saw Anastasia atop Patrasha's back, swaying a lantern different from his own in one hand. In response to Anastasia's question, Ram bowed while lifting the hem of her robe on the spot.
Thank you for your consideration, Anastasia-sama. May I ask, what's the situation in the surrounding area?
I just checked all the way back, but I couldn't see anyone else. Only 3 of us are out here, and this girlie.
I see.
Keep your spirits up. Might not be much comfort, but still.
Thank you for your concern. Yes, I shall do so.
To Anastasia on top of the dragon, Ram responded politely. From the course of the conversation, Subaru vaguely understood that Anastasia had been searching around. But that was the extent of his satisfaction, for the lack of explanation left him displeased.
Hey, Ram! I thought it was just the 2 of us here. What the hell is going on? Explain!
I do not remember telling you that Ram and Barasu were alone. Who assumed that and started panicking? Unsightly.
You'd come off a lot cuter if you just admitted you were also worried about Rem. Too much to think clearly, nay, Summer.
Hearing Subaru, Ram snorted her nose with her usual tone. Sensing a return to her usual self in that attitude, Subaru walked over to Anastasia.
Setting aside the part about getting messed with, I'm glad to see you're safe, Anastasia. Oh, that's a relief.
Aren't you confusing this deception of yours with a misunderstanding? I'd be relieved to learn that I'm not alone. Besides, Natsuki-kun's ground dragon, Patricia-chan, was a very helpful good girl.
With one foot on the stirrup, Anastasia hesitantly began dismounting Patricia. In response, Patricia slowly crouched down on the spot, helping her dismount. As expected of such a capable ground dragon, a Chad ground dragon, even, despite being a girl.
There's no one else hiding around here, right? Is it really just the 4 of us?
Including Patricia-chan. There's no doubt that it's the 4 of us. Amelia-san and Julius said I had no reason not to come forth. Can't say the same about Meili-chan, though.
You think she might have used the chaos to slip away? Not impossible.
Picturing the braided girl in his mind, Subaru mulled over what kind of decision Meili might make. Just before they were split up, Subaru had exposed the fact that Meili had secretly kept some witch beasts as backup. Thanks to Return by Death, he knew that in a previous loop, Meili had used those witch beasts to defend the dragon carriage from both the Watchtower's assault and the horde of courtesan bears. However, since that was an event that had not occurred in this loop, essentially, the one who knew Meili's reason for having the sand earthworm follow them was the girl herself. Given how things had turned out, it wouldn't be strange if Meili took the opportunity to slip away from the group and tried to leave the dunes on her own.
But she won't do that. That's what I want to believe.
Is that hope? Or could it be trust?
Just call it a wish. Anyway, what did things look like around here?
Setting aside his stance on Meili, Subaru asked Anastasia to report on her scouting. She put her hands in the sleeves of her robe and tilted her head, saying,
Well, judging from what I saw, we're certainly in the sand dunes. But I'm thinking this place might actually be underground.
Underground? How could there be an underground in the sand dunes?
Under all that sand of the dunes, a cave. More of a hollow, so to speak. But the temperature's obviously lower than above ground, and the air's also feeling kinda heavy.
As Anastasia gave a gesture to emphasize the chill by shaking the front of her robe, Subaru nodded in agreement. Certainly, the chill of this current space they were in was much stronger than the one they'd just left. With the high ceiling and a skyless space, her theory made sense.
Underneath the dunes? feeling about this. I pray that this isn't a sand earthworm's lair.
That's...
It was a plausible scenario. They had seen themselves that sand earthworms lived underground. And considering the size of the one Melee had controlled, this hollow would be more than big enough. Thinking about the creature's eyeless biology, a pitch black space like this would fit perfectly.
I mean, just look at this team! Its combat ability is way too questionable. Me, Ram, and Anastasia? Did they deliberately group all the non-combatants together?
Amelia Sama's own knight, proudly describing himself as a non-combatant. How hopeless.
I'm just stating the reality. Without Beatrice, I can't be so conceited as to rely on my whip skills alone.
Compared to the others who had ways to protect themselves, their group was severely lacking in combat ability. Ram was limited in what she could do, and Subaru without Beatrice hardly needed to be mentioned.
By the way, what about Beatrice Sama? Don't you feel any sort of connection with her as her contracted partner?
Unfortunately, while Bayako and I are deeply connected in spirit, we don't have any real sensory link. Well, she once said she could feel me, but I've never been able to feel her.
Useless.
Shut up!
Turning his face away from Ram, who sighed, Subaru leaned in slightly towards Anastasia and whispered to her, glancing at her composed profile.
So, can you fight? What's the deal?
If it comes down to it, of course I will. But it would mean shaving off Anna's life. As for me, I'd like to avoid that if possible. I'll be counting on you two.
Those expectations would probably get betrayed. Not sure if that'd be good in a way or a bad way, though.
Subaru snorted at Anastasia, whose expression for a moment had become that of Aridna. Then, he turned towards Patricia, who stood quietly awaiting instructions, and stroked her nose with his hand. The jet-black ground dragon silently leaned in, rubbing her tough scales against Subaru.
Ow! Ow! Still, I feel better now. Without Amelia or Beatrice here. But just having you with me is a relief. But seriously, this group setup seems totally meaningless.
Arasu.
Sharing his unease with Patricia, Subaru turned at the sound of Ram calling him. Ram had her arms crossed and gestured with her chin towards the direction Anastasia had come from.
We can't stay put forever. We need to move if we're going to regroup with the others. Thankfully, thanks to Anastasia Sama, we have light. We can press on.
Oh, wait. Was this like something Anastasia brought?
Right before the dragon carriage got swallowed up, I just barely managed to grab the emergency pack you'd prepped, Natsuki-kun. So, thanks to that, we've got a light, a knife, and some emergency rations.
Anastasia pointed at Patricia, where a small emergency bag was hanging on the saddle. It was that equipment that Subaru had prepared for the dragon carriage as a literal emergency kit. He felt a bit relieved, even though he'd hoped it wouldn't be needed. It was proving helpful now.
You shouldn't make fun of the wit I have in hand, after all. From now on, let's not forget to check the emergency door at any place we stay in for the first time.
Jokes aside, it is Barasu's credit. So, a light will be given to you as a reward, so go ahead and lead the way.
Sure thing! Wait! This is a reward?
Passing him the lantern, both Ram and Anastasia got on Patrasha's back. This scene, regardless of how anyone saw it, putting Subaru in the position of a servant.
3 people riding might be... maybe if Ramson and I scooted in a bit, we could manage?
Let's not, Anastasia-sama. If we were that close together, one can imagine Barasu using the opportunity to press his body up against us.
You can imagine what you want, but if that's the game you're playing, or imagine something even worse! And I'm not bluffing! Don't underestimate puberty!
Raising his middle finger in protest, even Anastasia gave a wry smile. Ram's response was the same as usual, but Subaru, lantern in hand, started walking deeper into the hollow. As if forgetting the situation entirely, the banter and quips Subaru and Ram, surely it was just bluster, an overcompensation to avoid staring directly at the anxiety each of them held inside. Most likely, both of them realized that, but neither said anything about it. Although walking was a struggle, Subaru and the others were advancing through the large cave in the sand. As expected, Patricia was used to it, and there would not be any problem with her movement, even if 2 heavy stones were put on her back. Subaru had learned the technique for walking in the desert for these past few days, and was able to proceed without much difficulty, albeit there was the feeling of sand entering his boots.
The wind? I can kind of feel it. And also can't.
I feel it, but given how thin this wind is, it's still a long way from being connected to the above ground.
Along the way, wetting his finger on his tongue, Subaru tried to examine the airflow, but it was not quite clear. On the other hand, the wind-sensitive Ram feeling it out, she had concluded that the exit was still far ahead. The way to this exit was what he wanted to give priority to, looking to meet up with his companions. Unfortunately, though, there was no indication that the signs of wind would be very reliable.
Amelia-sama and Julia-sama should not get lost due to the guidance of the microspirits. That is why I suspect that there is malicious intent in the selection of this grouping.
Well, it's quite useful to be guided by a microspirit. Damn. In my case, Peiko's so strong that she keeps the microspirits away. She's far beyond their capacity.
What became clear was that Amelia and Julius had advantages outside of battle as well. When setting out to look for a lost member, the search may not go as smoothly if they are left to do what they feel. They could only try not to overlook anything around them as much as possible while proceeding.
Before Natsuki-kun woke up, Ram-san seemed considerably shaken. She could not find Ram-san, but it seems to be hiding a bit of her attitude now.
Is that so?
Secretly, Anastasia shared this anecdote, which made his fighting with Ram after waking up feeling more and more awkward. Subaru had spent the past year alongside Ram, after she had the memories of her sister completely erased. Any connection those two previously had must have left behind some remains after being wiped. If no one else, Subaru at least had to believe so.
Well, it is not fun seeing you huddled up all gloomy and miserable like that, so why not look ahead if you are so down about it? If you do not, you might miss something important.
Don't throw me off like that. You, stop giving me those platitudes. You're taking after your creator, enticing people like that.
Sooner or later, I wish you would start thinking of me separately from my creator. Girls will not like you if you are so insistent. This is something I have picked up with time.
It's not like I know any other approach. I'll just keep it in the back of my mind.
The tongue-in-cheek talkative exchange seemed to distract the impatience and anxiety of not making any progress. In the mindset of that conversation, the party advanced through the large cave. Nothing really changed about the sand path and the sand walls. While walking along that path, there were a few there were a few things about it that was.
Even though I said to be wary that this might be a witch beast nest, we have yet to run into a witch beast.
That is what Rom is concerned about.
Kicking the sand under his feet, Subaru grumbled at Ram as she expressed a similar opinion. They continued into the large cave, and soon an hour had already passed. With no one and nothing around, their anxiety, impatience, and bad premonitions continued to grow. Of course, not having enemies show up was a welcome situation, but the extensive silence could not be of any help in wiping out the bad feeling regarding this place. It was much like being detached from the whole world.
No way. We couldn't have been swallowed up by a hyperspace that doesn't connect to anywhere. Right?
Well then, wouldn't you tell me where the wind we're relying on's coming from? Do you think it's the heavy breathing of an unusually big and ferocious witch beast who owns the cave?
No, I'm scared. That wasn't funny at all.
Really, it wouldn't be strange if anything happened at this point. He'd already seen the world tear open with his own eyes. No matter where that rupture might lead, it probably wouldn't be something to be surprised about.
Setting aside how malicious the grouping seems, I doubt the ones behind the illusion expected it to be broken. The nullification wasn't intentional. It's probably just a fluke.
What do you mean exactly?
In other words, imagining worst-case scenario like this path leading straight into a witch beast's stomach is a waste of time. Just look.
The lack of progress was leading to pessimistic theories, which Ramit rationally rejected. Then, at the end of the explanation, she urged Subaru to look ahead, him having stopped. Following her indication, Subaru held out the lantern to look forward. Then, the illuminated passage of the cavity became narrow, in front of their eyes.
It's a fork.
Right or left? We gotta make a choice. What do we do?
From what I know, Kurapika said to choose right when the time called for it.
Who's that?
At it in practical terms, he remembered hearing that people tended to unconsciously choose to proceed left when they got lost. Perhaps it had to do with dominance, such as the dominant hand, dominant leg, and other complicated factors like those. That was said to be one way of thinking about it. For that reason, Subaru wanted to follow the theory of an intellectual character he knew and choose the right path which he thought was correct. But
So, Barasu, which way do you want to go?
Honestly speaking, left.
What happened to Kurapika?
Who's that?
answered, Rom followed up with another question, and Anastasia poked fun at the whole thing. If taken purely at face value, that exchange might have seemed like nothing more than a normal conversation. But in reality, the three people who exchanged words had a stiff expression and worrisome looks on their faces. On top of that, even Patrichet, unable to speak, was staring at the right path with stern eyes. The cause was the overwhelming negativity they were feeling from the right path. Abstractly speaking, they felt a detestable premonition. If more words were to be used, what they felt was more like dread. Their instincts were ringing the alarm bell. Selecting the right path would be deadly.
The right. I think it's bad. I've got a feeling nothing good's gonna come from it.
Surprisingly, I agree with Barasu. What do you think, Anastasia-sama?
It done the Kararagi way. Majority wins. By the support of 2 votes. Besides, I'm honestly lacking the courage to choose the right side.
As if to say, I don't have the guts to do that, Anastasia swung both hands in front of her, a gesture that answered for everyone. Super was not the only one. Rom and Anastasia both felt a strange sensation from the right path. Patrichet did as well. Therefore, the right road could not be chosen.
Then, left it is. Oh, this also feels like we're being made to choose it, which makes it an unpleasant option.
Well, we could go back, but there's nothing to gain from it.
Could say we've got nothing to lose, but that's being a little negative.
As Subaru failed to make a decision, Rom and Anastasia seemed ready to jump in. Reluctantly shrugging his shoulders, Subaru stepped forth, walking in front of Patrichet, straight towards the road on the left. Despite his hesitation, by proceeding that direction, the path on the right would deviate greatly from the large cavity. He found that the pressure that he felt through the walls of sand kept disappearing further and further, and the stiffness in his shoulders was naturally released.
What an unpleasant place.
She felt the same thing, and as he heard Rom murmuring, Subaru agreed in silence. At this crossroads, the right path caused overwhelming negative thoughts. They chose the left road out of something like instinct to avoid the other, but there was one more reason. Inside his chest, Subaru felt the presence of something shouting in joy towards the right path. It would be dreadful to listen to what it said. It was also undeniably a major factor as to why Subaru did not opt for that road. Team non-combatant trapezed through the cave, and a few more hours passed after the fork. As they slowly advanced their search in the great cavern, the number of words spoken between the three dropped drastically. While their fatigue, and not to mention the darkness, any sense of time was fuzzy, but what was truly wearing down their spirit along the walk was silence. In fact, Subaru felt like several hours had passed, but he did not know if it was true. There was the possibility that they had utilized the time better than they thought, or even that they had completely squandered it. What they knew for sure was that there was no progress.
That split. I wonder if we should have gone right.
After that much silence, you can only think to complain? Stop it. It's shameful.
Murmuring, he moved his dry lips to complain, and Rom bitterly delivered a stab. However, her poison also lacked ambition. He could tell that she too had been gripped by the fear that they wouldn't find anything. Although the foothold along the path of sand was shoddy, there was some confidence that they had already walked for a few kilometers. So with no end to the cave in sight, it could not be helped that they would be swept over by a bad feeling. It was natural that one would doubt that the wrong choice had been made. Even more, if they reached a dead end, they would give up and turn back.
The barrage of lights above ground. What do you think it was?
Subaru changed the direction of the topic, for fear that the negative conversation would continue as it was. The topic that turned up was the light of the watchtower that had triggered this situation in the first place, the defense mechanism of the dunes, which was believed to have been prepared by the sage.
It was a needle.
A needle?
To that question, Rom responded curtly. She spilled a sigh at Subaru's follow-up question and gently stroked her pink hair.
I do not know its principle in detail, but long and narrow needles enchanted with magic were being fired. The needles carried high heat, probably the effect of firing magic, but the needle itself seemed to be of some specialized construction. As it was repelled and fell in the sand, it disintegrated and disappeared.
You got such a good glance at it during all that uproar.
A quick glance would tell you that much.
Without a doubt, it seemed Rom's observation power was not as ordinary as she claimed it to be. In fact, with Subaru just staring at her, Anastasia shook her head in amazement. In Rom's case, she was aware of her own talents, but was still speaking sarcastically. Despite that, it was quite the analysis.
What do you think its purpose was?
Kill those approaching the watchtower. It is a mystery why it was relentlessly aimed at Barasu. Standard practice to take down the weaker enemies first, so that might be it.
Shit! I can't deny it!
Be only natural to arrive at the same conclusion when taking a bird's eye look at it. Nonetheless, thanks to that, there had been no casualties among those of the party. The conclusion to be reached here was that it was good to have a weak Subaru donning invincible magic. But in that case,
It means a friendly encounter with the sage would be difficult.
I think it's premature to say so. Looking at it from their point of view, they didn't know who we were nor what we wanted, right? There's a chance for a discussion to occur. Is that what I think?
At worst, our business is with the sage's knowledge, not their personality. If they do not speak, you can just tie them up and make them taste an adequate level of pain until they do.
Nay, Summer! Was that your villainous side talking?
If there is something you want, take measures. This is not mere child's play.
Tom remained strangely calm in the face of Subaru's astonishment. Just hearing those statements, he felt he was being reminded of how innocent and shallow his own resolutions were. Regardless of whether it was actually put into practice, there was no doubt that Rom was prepared for it. That was not but proof that she was serious about Rem. To touch Rem's resolve, Subaru would be required to make some decisions regarding his own resolutions. He had not thought of getting his hands dirty for Rem. Rem was not to be blamed for that either. What he had to do was to be prepared to reap the results. When confronted with the existence of the sage, no matter what kind of opponent that is, he must be absolutely determined. He must be resolved to that degree.
Huh?
Patricia?
At the same time Subaru bit his lips with those thoughts, Patricia held her breath. The ground dragon was glaring at the path with squinted eyes and neighed a little. Having noticed that stare, Subaru also stopped his feet and returned to soothe the ground dragon. He stroked the back of her neck and called out,
What's wrong?
"What's wrong?"
Did you see something? What?
The reason would be this.
On Patricia's behalf spoke Ram, interrupting Subaru. Anastasia frowned and looked at the passage, imitating Patricia. Of course, nothing could be seen within the extent of that darkness, but a different feeling was being stimulated rather than sight. Seeping into their nasal orifices was a smell of something burning.
Don't you think it smells like fire?
I cannot think of anything else. But I do not think something like a kitchen could possibly be down here.
If this is fire, the cause behind this smell is civilized people, right?
Mm-hmm.
At Subaru's clinging question, neither Ram nor Anastasia could just easily nod. He could also understand the girl's judgment, but the smell that was drifting was clearly a scent of something supposedly burning. Ram said it was something like cooking. The aroma wafting through the air was similar enough. A bonfire, or a stew for a meal. If that was the case...
Do you think there's a possibility of that being Amelia and the others?
Assuming they were sent to the same place, there's enough possibility. Nevertheless, whether it's rational or unwise to use a fire in such situation, I'd leave that judgment up to the others.
Here, the answer regarding who was ahead of the road would not arrive. The idea of beckoning and checking the intents of the other party came to mind, but
Even if they're at the end of the path, it doesn't mean they're friendly.
supposing it was not Amelia and the others, could it be the sage? It was hard to believe that the sage, who should be in the watchtower, would come down, but it was not unlikely. In that case, if the sage continued to be hostile, a corresponding assault was also to be expected.
Should we cover our light and move ahead? If they're using fire, then there's the light on their end. Worst case, it's fine if we keep ours hidden.
It's strange to keep speculating about it. We also gotta check what's the cause, so I think it's a reasonable idea.
Asia nodded to Subaru's proposal, and after that, Ram also quietly agreed with it. When the lights of the 2 lanterns were turned off, the party went back to the path where the smell of fire was drifting from, relying only on Subaru's light.
Barasu,
What?
if anything happens to you, we will leave you here and run away. Try not to hold a grudge.
If you do that, I'll curse you!
Ram's words were those of encouragement, perhaps because she knew he would be fearful. In the light held by Subaru, Ram slightly loosened her lips, and Subaru went straight through the passage. Feeling Patriché's breath behind him, the scent of the fire gradually grew more intense.
Huh? It's the light!
Beyond the passage, he found a slightly shimmering red light. Subaru immediately darkened his own light and instructed the 3 behind him to be silent. Then he squatted down and stepped on the sand stealthily to confirm the existence of the light. 1 step, 2 steps. As he moved forward, he could see that the light was on the other side of a corner. The passage was slightly bent to the left, and the fire was just beyond there. Quietly reaching the bend, he took a peek at the other side ever so slightly while leaning against the wall. At that moment, a wind carrying a slight heat tickled Subaru's forehead, and he unintentionally closed his eyes. Immediately after, Subaru's footing dug into the soil unexpectedly. The sand slid, and his body rolled down.
What?
Incapable of withstanding that surprise, Subaru forgot to hold on and rolled down the slope. The fine particles of sand were hard to grab onto, and so he slid all the way down to the bottom. Plunging headfirst into a pile of sand after rolling down a steep incline of about 10 meters of height, Subaru again spat out sand and raised his body.
Again? Sand? No! Then...
Subaru shook his head and looked around. With the shock, he had dropped his lantern. As it was nearby, he started searching for it, stretching his hand, and he touched something hard. For an instant, he thought he had found the lantern, but it felt different compared to the hardness of what he had held. The surface was crisp and pleasant to the touch, like a wooden stick. Despite its thickness and length, he judged it light when lifting it up.
What is it?
In that pitch-black darkness, even getting closer to it and straining his eyes would not relay to him its identity. Smelling it timidly, the smell of charcoal was felt. The very next moment after he thought that, a light appeared behind him suddenly. The wisps that appeared in the background were red, shimmering and primitive, their name flames. Then, as the flames began to light up the world, Subaru saw the true identity of the thing he had grabbed. Probably it was a creature's foot. Something that had once been an animal, burned until it turned into charred remains. And around the place where Subaru was sitting, the remnants of former creatures that had become lumps of charcoal were scattered. Subaru had slipped right into the middle of countless, burned, dead bodies. Throwing away the charred waste in his hand, Subaru aimed to retreat. However, a terrible flame existed at his rear, and his neck was burned by the heat wave. And this time, he fell down just on his face. And finally, he turned back and looked at it directly. Subaru was thrown out of reality, facing a tremendous roar from his front. Why were all the witch beast's roars so disgusting as to irritate human beings to the limit of their disgust? With such a high-pitched roar, it was like countless babies were crying all at once. It was a blasphemous creature that Subaru had never seen. It burned red in a place full of burned bodies. It truly was a witch beast, but the color of its fur was different from what he had seen in the past. As far as Subaru knew, all the witch beasts were distorted and ugly, but they were often in a form such that they bore a resemblance to an existing creature somehow. That applied all the same for the white whale or the great rabbit. For all cases, there was a basic foundation of an animal. However, this time, he did not wish to apply the same concept to the witch beast that existed in front of him. The witch beast once again cried out. At first glance, some similarities could be found with a horse. Thin, but strong legs of a quadruped that existed to charge over the earth. It was the same as a horse, in that it possessed a trunk supported by its 4 legs and a long tail swaying from its rear. However, there was a human torso in the part where the horse's neck should normally be, leading to the head. Compounding on the 4 legs, the human torso possessed 2 further arms, and there was no head above the neck of the human torso. As from the neck to the top, a horn protruded. It was the mark of a witch beast, a mark that branded it as something decisively different from other animals. In place of its head, a horn grew. It possessed no head. But if that were the case, where was the mouth from which its cry was raised? From the chest to the belly of the human torso was a vertical gash, and inside the oral cavity were fully grown fangs aligned horizontally, asserting their existence.
A monster.
Even calling it a witch beast was somewhat absurd. Rather, it was a blasphemy of life. To Subaru's knowledge, it was close to a creature of fantasy called Centaur, half man and half horse. But that was a distorted figure, as if its reenactment had been abandoned halfway. From the backside of the human torso of the centaur grew a mane of flame, torso searing the sand cave with incredible power, red light urging forth. Considering the strength of that blaze, who had created all the charred carcasses that lay around the place, became clear. It had been a mistake to embrace the idea that the use of fire was a sign of civilized people. The arms of the human part of the centaur were that of a human, with 5 fingers. The legs of the horse part of the centaur were that of a horse, with hooves having been formed. The figure was about 6 or 7 meters long, just about the right size to pass through the cavern. That was to say, the master of the cavern was this being in front of him.
It was a trap.
Holding his breath, Subaru despaired. There was nothing he could do. He quickly turned his hand to the back of his waist and grabbed the handle of the whip, but he did not believe he could do anything with it. And to that breathless Subaru, the centaur tilted his eyeless head. From its mouth was hurled a bellow, inciting fear. At that moment, Subaru moved to create a gap. He turned around on the sand, roughly kicking one of the charcoal debris onto the centaur. Having been cooked to a crisp on the inside, the corpses had no power to them, even if they connected. But still, it was good to be in control. Clinging to the steep slope, he attempted to return to the upper passage. He would go back the road he came, but he did not mind it. The problem was, how far the centaur was going to give chase was unknown. Given that it burnt its prey in this manner, it was dubious whether it had an appetite. Of course, this was not necessarily a good thing, as he had heard that witch beasts possessed an instinct to hurt and murder human beings. Still, if there was a possibility that the situation could look up for a little bit, that would... While thinking so much about it, Subaru noticed that his body was not trembling. Trying and creating a diversion by kicking a piece of charred debris and climbing the steep sand slope and turning back and reaching out to his whip, Subaru could do none of this. Because before he could get to it, the breath of the witch beast burned Subaru. As soon as the concept that his whole body was being burnt reached him, Subaru screamed in pain and suffering. However, because his throat was being burnt, his lungs were having their oxygen burnt. No part of his voice could be raised. Where the burned skin formed bubbles, they swelled and burst instantly. The fluids that had flown inside the body, which he had never seen before, instantly evaporated, his blood actually boiling. Can't even roll over on the ground in this suffering. The muscles and fat had been burnt, melted, and charcoaled. The pain disappeared to a place far away, and Subaru experienced an illusion of being drowned in flames. Burned. Yes, burned. He had read somewhere about burns in depth. He had learned that there were several stages of burns, and that once the third stage was reached, the scars would remain, and a skin graft would be necessary. He also had learned that if 30% of a person's body were burnt, breathing would be made difficult, leading to death. Body hair burnt till the follicle. Eardrum and brain matter alike melted and flowed out the earlobe. Lips and gums evaporated, exposing the teeth, and the tongue was gulped by the suffering of the heat wave. It did not matter. He was already drowned. These burns, could they be healed? Even though he was not confident regarding his face, if it got burnt, would they like him less? Emilia, Beatrice, Rem.
Rusu!
Burning. His field of vision was burning. Everything was burning, turning red and going white. Blood was eradicated by the tremendous heat. The eyelids melted away. The fluids of the eyeballs evaporated. It turned white and cloudy, and nothing could be seen. He had just heard something. He had heard someone calling. He had heard babies crying. Someone came down beside him. Idiot. Why had they? They had said they would run away. Why had they come down here? But going down, what did that mean? Moreover, what was left or right? A horse, a human. Different. Hot. It melted. It burned. Tired. Melted and disappeared.
How long are you planning to sleep? Wake up already, Barsu.
As he felt the sensation of his limbs completely ceasing to move and his scorched thoughts collapsing, Super was yanked back into reality by a sharp jolt. Startled by the suddenness of it, he sat up and wiped the cold sweat off his sand-stuck forehead. He looked around. It was dark. Nothing was visible. That alone was enough to evoke the terror from just a few seconds ago.
Pathetic. How frightened can you be of mere darkness? You're not a child.
Huh?
Shrinking back instinctively, Subaru opened his eyes wide at that voice. Holding the lantern so that its light illuminated her own face, Ram let out a small sigh. Then, kneeling quietly beside him, she reached out and gently stroked his cheek.
What a pitiful face.
My face. It's not melted or anything.
Except in front of Amelia-sama. I have never seen such a pitiful sight.
The warmth of her palm on his cheek was far, far gentler than the heat he had just experienced. Thanks to that feeling, thanks to the sensation of flames and the warmth of another, Subaru understood that he had returned by death, again. That this was a different save point from the two deaths he had met in the sand dunes. And that in order to conquer the sand labyrinth, he would have to stake his life. He felt like the cold sand flowing on the sand sea was silently ridiculing the scorched Subaru, watching.
And that is the end.
Jesus Christ.
Brutal.
I have
Unprepared again!
Yeah. One thing to talk about before we get into talking about the chapter, because the chat was popping off quite a bit. And I know we have a lot of new people coming into our chat, and it's really great to see all of you here. But there's something I do want to put out there just as we move forward. This is a live performance. It is also a rough draft performance. We will be publishing the finalized versions of these chapters in the upcoming months. We are still waiting on lines from the voice actors for certain characters. Example, Anastasia. I don't play her normally. I play Amelia. I'm covering today. But our actual voice actor is doing those lines. They can't show up for the lives. So they will be coming, those ones. These ones are the rough drafts. If you have commentary about our narrators, about our staff that are voicing these live for you, I will be deleting and timing people out moving forward because it can affect our performance when we read live that people want other people in. We have an amazing cast. We're so lucky. And some of the amazing people here. When we see comments like that, our performance can become shoddy fast because we are overthinking about what people are saying about us. So while we are performing for you guys, we request that you don't make commentary about who is speaking, what is going on. If you have comments about volume levels, that's fine, because then I can adjust. But also, please keep in mind, while I am acting as Anastasia, I am also controlling the audio for our Subaru, as well as myself and our entire team, too. So things will change, but they take a bit of time to adjust. Not all of our audio is the same. Moving forward, I'll leave that lecture at that, but please keep in mind that we are live performing this. We are actors first. We're not going to be perfect. So please don't make it harder for us to act by commenting on our performance live. Thank you all. And thank you all for the super chats. We do appreciate you. Our goal is past met. YouTube just isn't adapting it yet. So I'm going to count that up while everyone chats about the chapter. Thank you for letting me lecture.
It was in 1999, Kylie, that happened during the chapter.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Everyone did amazing,
I guess
by the way.
speaking of
Or
the...
Subaru.
Yeah, that was great. Awesome job, everyone. It saw a lot of glaze for your death rattles there.
Yeah.
I
The
think
comment like it sounded like you got punched in the throat.
I think he ran to pee.
Mhm.
I had to run away too at one point. We were busting. His death.
I saw this in the... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna
that's
apologize
good.
for the fact that I had to keep adjusting our audio. My cousins were upstairs screaming and eating, so sometimes Subaru's lines would come in a bit quieter as are mine. So thank you. Okay, that's it.
I just left a space for him because some of them I wasn't sure, but it's like I can't. I don't want to wait forever. But
Thank you for doing that. You did it perfectly.
okay.
I'm back.
I saw this in the chat as well, and just to kind of explain it. So for getting the scripts ready for these live recordings, we will go through them and proofread, whether it's just like a grammatical mistake or edit left behind, something just a little bit overlooked by Fanta's version that he has in the compiled ones for each phase of this. We go through, and anything that's a little off, a little funky, we check the translations for, fix some grammar, flow things up a bit. Some of the chapters we have to do completely from scratch. Other ones are much, much nicer and are already like really well done. Especially the ones that are marked LQ on Witch Cult's website for like they used to be really low quality. Fanta already did a really strong run through for those. Like 13 and 14 here were already mostly edited by him. We just touched it up a bit for anything that we noticed.
Thank you for the praise for my death rattle there. I was trying to think of how to do a death noise without raising a voice exactly, so I was like, you know what, I'll just use the air in my lungs instead.
You know, actually, I'll just die in real life. Maybe that'll give me some good death noises.
Yay! I just need practice, guys.
And then he came back.
It's a great trick, but you can only do it once.
Yep.
Simply just actually get the real life experience you need.
You just go to
Then
training.
you can tap into it. Yeah, go to dying training.
Yo, get the defibrillator ready. I'm gonna need it.
Yeah, don't pick Bernie
Yeah.
though. That's unpleasant.
A
Yeah,
bit
like,
more than
the
unpleasant.
number one most painful way to die because it stops your body from making you pass out, the exhaustion
Yeah.
and burning the adrenaline away. Unpleasant. I really like that the narration gets like more choppy and brutal after his brain starts to melt too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just he's actually melting. Both the narration and his voice lines and pretty much everything is melting away.
Brutal, unbelievably brutal death. Unfortunately, cut from the light novel entirely.
Yep.
So this will
Hours.
not be in the anime.
Mm-hmm.
No
Enjoy
horse
it
guy
here.
first appearance, guys.
Only place you'll get it.
Studio Reverie exclusive horse death.
Studio Reverie exclusive centaur death. Yeah, I threw the art in our chat if you wanted to throw that up on screen for a second,
Yeah,
Kyles.
sure.
Let everyone see the monster that they're dealing with.
Give me a second to see it.
Every single time he dies, I always just think, man, this thing took more lives off of him than Regulus.
It did. Genuinely.
Damn. That's a wild statement. I never thought of that.
If you really consider it, Regulus and Gluttony did get one loop off of Subaru in the Arc 3 interludes by making him take his own life to try and save
Yeah,
Ren.
technically.
So, he gets one.
He gets one in, and not even directly or intentionally.
I won't even give a full
but
one. Like
he even
0.5.
He even said
I give
that
it to
last
Gluttony
chapter.
there.
Like, I can't believe this is harder than Regulus was.
Yeah! Fucking dirt is harder.
It's a lot easier to deal with a very strong
Honestly-
enemy when they're incompetent and underestimate you than it is to deal with like a ruthless attack.
I
Sure
mean,
does.
5 million bears? Okay, I get it. You know, they're a bit tougher than one strong guy for trying to avoid them, but this is just a horse. I mean, it's a fire horse, but it's a horse.
Man flame horse.
Man flame horse.
Man flame horse.
Thing of fucking
With-
nightmares.
Abdominal mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like
How-
that.
Yeah, I don't. I'm picturing it
No
trying
one
to
say it.
eat with that, and it's no.
Teeth? Teeth the movie?
I don't think it does eat. It just makes a mess.
It cooks. So
Who let it cook?
Oh, yeah, no, it
Yes,
cooks.
that's wild.
It cooks.
Well, it's just we know that witch beasts in general they don't eat in the natural way that animals do. They either drain your mana from you to consume, or in the case of this one, we really don't know how it sustains itself. It's kind of just made to murder. Like there's nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah.
It just has a hatred of the living things.
mean, what's the
Maybe
mouth
it just
even for?
evaporates. Maybe it just evaporates everything into the air and then like sucks it up from
Good
the atmosphere or something.
it breathes
It's on
fire.
all
Kyle.
liquid diet.
Okay, so that's where it comes out. Okay.
The hot breath went into Subaru and lit all the air in his lungs on fire.
I see. Okay.
What I realized that's kind of
Terrible
super
way to
interesting here. It's like this is the second horse figure we've had in ReZero, and the other one being Meliquera was also weirdly fire insinuated.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Like,
Why are all the horses?
Yeah, we haven't seen a normal horse in ReZero yet. Is it possible that they are just all on fire?
Horse girls are fiery.
Super goes, hey, can I go try and ride a horse for a bit? You want to ride a
No.
horse? Like the things that are you're gonna be burned, you know.
Only you would be sick enough to burn your balls on a horseback, Barsu.
You almost fucked up there, Ram.
There's water in my mouth trying to fix after those mobby screams.
Yeah.
My throat hurts.
I was screaming, but like they cut out like a lot. I realized, unfortunately.
Yeah, I tried to get a little bit in there, but of course my microphone was doing Beatrice 2.0. I was like, no, you're talking enough already. Shut up.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Discord just
I
I don't
Okay,
want you to be
that's
the witch
the-
beast.
It's like, no, we're not doing that right now. Stop it. Bad.
I like to
Well,
imagine that this thing sounds like the cleric beast from Bloodborne, with how high pitched it's supposed to sound like.
I completely agree.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
I can't wait to sound design it. Honestly, I've been coming up with so many different things. You should send me that so I can remember. I'll try to inspire by.
I know people enjoyed my death throws, but I will probably re-record them for the final version just to get them just right, because I feel like, especially with the Subaru death noises, you need to get it right.
I think it'll be fine because
Yeah.
the way I was aggressively turning your dial every time you changed your volume, one sentence, you went from whispering to screaming to whisper to calm to middle to screaming. I was like, you fucker.
I'm
Hey,
sorry.
you better get
Just
used
wait-
to it. You better
Just
get
wait
used
till
to
next
it.
chapter,
Yeah, get
Kyle.
used to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I'm so glad the kids aren't scared
Well,
of his
about the
screams.
only death rattle note I could make is if you can get like a wet gurgle in there.
Ah!
Yeah.
It's as
He's
bad as
turning
Honestly,
into
I'm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
If you actually got murdered in your house, like I don't think anyone would call the police because they'd be like, "Oh yeah, no, he's just dying again."
There's just voice
I
acting.
did make him jump out
and
a
like
window
a week
with one of my
later, it's like, man,
translations
he
once.
hasn't died in a bit. What's wrong?
Why hasn't he hasn't died in a while? Did he actually? Nah.
Uh-oh.
Our neighbors haven't said
One of
anything
the,
yet.
Yes.
That's good.
Knock on wood. Bop, bop, bop.
yet.
One of the really fun parts with this chapter 2 is a callback to what we were doing for the Arc 1 and Arc 2 readings, which is Subaru calling someone an Ikiman, which translates to Chad. There is no closer translation in the English language than that. And it's
Patricia
so
the
funny.
Chan. I saw
Patricia
Chadette
the
from
Chad.
someone.
I remember when I was in the call,
Mhm.
double checking the translations with you, and when you saw that, it sounded like you were skipping in your seat.
I was. So like when I'd done that for 1 and 2, I just took a guess because it felt like the right attitude for it. And then the official subs and dubs for the show 100 Girlfriends translates it the exact same way, and I felt so validated for that.
Chad.
Yeah, I was like checking the error sheet and I heard like a pause and then Chad. And I'm like, wait, what? wait, is this right? And I had to
Even if
check
she's a girl.
the document again. I was like, what the fuck?
I had to do a double take when I read that.
That was awesome.
Ram and Subaru's banter is just so good in this arc in particular. It's just so entertaining.
It's so funny. Every single line is so funny.
It's so sweet that she touches his face because he's so fucked.
Yeah, he's tweaking out.
Ram is.
She also can't see it right now.
Yeah.
That's true.
Ram is way more kind than she lets on.
She is. She is sweet.
Too kind, in fact.
Too kind.
Her
is the-
sister's better, but she's still very sweet.
Now people would go to
Epitome
war
of
with
grace
you
and
for that.
elegance.
Brutally.
But yeah, that's I would definitely say that's in the top 3 worst deaths for Subaru so far.
agree.
Getting boiled and evaporated
yeah.
alive ain't feeling good.
Are we ready to start up the
He's
next
getting
one?
charred. He's getting served.
Hasn't he
I
had
am
his
ready.
blood boiled by Felix before already? Back in Arc 3?
Yes.
Oh my god.
He got his blood boiled before he got whopped by a sword.
Yeah, but that was like him getting sous vide. This is more like him getting like
Yeah,
on
this is
the
like-
charcoal.
Super
It's getting medium
sous vide.
rared and then like getting so heated that that limb fall or that like medium rare cauterized part falls off and then the next part is exposed and then now it's medium rare and it's cauterized again. Like it's just
Medium rare. It's burnt.
he's getting put through the
Crispy.
cooker.
Yeah, it's literally charcoal.
Yeah, that thing's
There is-
charred.
Yeah.
There is supposedly a point where if the fire is enough that it does cook you to the level that it did to Subaru, you don't actually feel it because it melts all of your nerve endings off.
Yeah,
The way the narration was
but it's
describing
usually
it seems
not
like that's how it was
quick.
done.
Like
No, it's almost
you'll
never quick.
still feel the initial
Mhm.
bit, but at least at the
Es-
very end.
Especially if it's literally lighting the oxygen in your lungs on fire.
Yeah.
Like that's a
Yeah.
level of heat you really can't even describe.
No.
Like
Yeah.
Subaru goes through all of this stuff, and I'm just like, wow, like the amount of PTSD nightmares man must have about these specific experiences, and the way his brain responds to them.
Like he's gonna be jumping at candles now.
Oh, gee.
Poor guy. He's a fireplace.
Never enjoy a barbecue again.
Oh god.
Hmm.
Yeah, he
I,
starts smelling the charcoal.
Crispy.
Oh, no.
Subaru, don't you want to try some of this barbecue?
Oh,
Cries.
No.
Subaru turns pescatarian after this, only eating sushi and vegetables.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Only the fish are safe.
He never cooks anything again.
Do you know how expensive that's going to be if the fish aren't in season?
Are they near any water?
They don't have oceans.
Yeah, I was
The
gonna
river.
say.
Yeah, they have rivers and lakes.
I was about.
Yeah.
They have the river.
Like at the
yeah.
very least, maybe they have like flying fish.
The flying fish.
Water dragons.
Roswell.
Yeah, 'cause, like,
Roswell.
no one questions the white whale flying. They're like, oh yeah, that's the white whale. It's not like,
Yeah,
why is a
that's-
whale flying? It's just, no, that's a white whale. It does that.
Yeah.
So,
Whales are
how
in
do
the
they
sky.
know what a
That's just
whale
how it
is?
Sky.
yeah, one, how do they know what a whale is? Two, why are they just like, yeah, that's flying? Maybe aquatic creatures just fly.
if he was
Maybe.
the nope, I forgot it. Nope, I remember. A white whale, if it wasn't a witch beast. And Tepe hasn't clearly,
It's just a whale.
explicitly, aggressively said that they taste bad. That could have fed like a whole fucking village for a few weeks.
Oh, yeah.
That's
True.
literally the Witch of Gluttony's mindset behind making it, though.
Yeah. Evil.
Was if they killed it, then they would feed a whole lot of people, you know?
But then
Yeah, but like,
Who's gonna
Ow.
eat that?
yuck, flesh. All right, y'all, let's strap in
Yes.
and get this next chapter done. We'll chat a bit more, cause it's a school night for
God.
me.
Yeah.
Cry.
cry.
Narrator, and then I, Anastasia, Subaru, and Ram. Are we ready?
Yes.
Hi. All right, narrator Kun, take it away when you're ready.
Okay. Doesn't start. Arc 6, Chapter 14. Faith built upon the sand. The warmth coming from Ram's palm contrasted with the ridicule of the cold sand. Both of those were the realities that Natsuki Subaru were faced with now. That was the present that he should accept.
Ram,
What?
your fingers sure do feel nice and smooth. It's as bad.
Don't push your luck, you Barsu.
Can you not use my name like it's some kind of insult?
As payment for his careless comment, Subaru received a slap to the cheek and protested tearfully, but Ram, holding the lantern, didn't respond and instead quickly took a step away from him. Even though just a moment ago she had shown him a rare moment of kindness, now she was back to being cold. Though in truth, staying that way would have made things awkward and hard to speak, so this return to normalcy was probably for the best.
This place is.
A pitch black void of unknown location. You remember how the landscape of the sand sea fractured and we were swallowed up? Carriage and all by the rift, don't you? I'd rather not have to explain more than that.
No, that's enough. That gives me a pretty good idea.
Good.
Ram briefly outlined their current situation, and Subaru took a deep breath as he accepted the situation. He had returned by death, and his return point had already changed to something new. This made it 3 times that Subaru had met death in the sand dunes. 2 of those times had been above ground, most likely deaths caused by the light fired from the watchtower. But this 3rd time was completely different, a death underground at the hands of a monster. Just remembering how he had died a mere minute ago made Subaru tremble uncontrollably.
I never thought I'd die like that.
This time, Subaru had quite literally burned to death. He'd been thoroughly ravaged and scorched by a raging crimson flame, killed without understanding anything as he was engulfed and burned alive. The sensation of his entire body being licked by tongues of fire, his flesh not just burning but melting, was something that he could not forget. He'd known in theory that the human body was a mass of fat, but he hadn't realized it could melt so easily into goo. The burnt corpses looked so gruesome. He now understood perfectly well why that was.
Bardasu, have you calmed down yet? If you've settled down, we need to talk.
Yeah, I'm okay. Is it just me and you here?
If it weren't, Rom would have already left you behind and run for her own safety. The fact that I haven't should tell you enough, right?
You're showing me your rare kindness? Part 2?
That's an unforgivably rude thing to say to someone like me, who's the very embodiment of love and mercy. Anyway, we've got company while you're wasting your time on nonsense.
Raising the lantern to her left, Subaru's right, Ram gestured in that direction, and sure enough, another light could be seen approaching from deeper in the hollow. The lantern, swinging at a height above theirs, was unmistakably the one owned by Anastasia, riding on Batrash.
Ram-san, Natsuki-kun, it seems that your discussion's over?
Anastasia? Patricia? Is that you?
Anastasia, who was riding on Batrash, spoke out the same greeting as she had before as she flashed him with a grin. And, to those words, Ram pinched the hem of her skirt like before and bowed.
Thank you for your consideration, Anastasia-sama. May I ask, what's the situation in the surrounding area?
I just checked all the way back, but I couldn't see anyone else. Only 3 of us are out here, and this girlie.
I see.
Keep your spirits up. Might not be much comfort, but still.
Thank you for your concern. Yes, I shall do so.
Anastasia voiced her apprehensions from Dragonback, to which Ram responded as though it was her usual demeanor, but it clearly wasn't. Since Ram currently had the lantern, her profile was plainly visible. Everything Anastasia had said was exactly the same as last time. Ram looked slightly worn down. Her expression revealed that being separated from Rem had shaken her.
So, the only ones who have regrouped for now are the 4 of us. Oh, our lack of combat power is kind of a problem.
You're taking it better than I figured, Natsuki-kun. Or did Rem-san cast some kind of special spell on you or something?
Unfortunately, even if you leave Barasu and Rom alone together, absolutely nothing happens. The next morning, all you find is Barasu's mutilated corpse.
What the hell? Do you have some kind of secret trait like a werewolf from a murder game? Oh, that's terrifying.
It wasn't as though Subaru was trying to act cheerful, but seeing how composed he was right after waking up, both Anastasia and Ram couldn't help commenting on it. Truthfully, it was simply because this was his second time through, and he had a better grasp on the situation. Even so, he intended to treat the ability to move quickly as an advantage this time around as well.
Ram, just to make sure, you don't know where Rem is using your symphosasia, right?
Right, it's no good. There's still a connection, so I know for sure that she's alive. But that's all. We can only hope she's not alone.
If good or bad luck has anything to do with how someone lives their life, then Rem's absolutely in the clear. She's only ever done good. I believe she's safe. No question.
If this theory were true, then the reason Subaru kept running into one awful situation after another, dying all the time, would be because of his own misdeeds. That wasn't something he was too keen to think about.
On top of that,
There was a heavy anxiety that Subaru could never confess to Ram or Anastasia. The fear that, with the update of his return by death point, something, or someone he wanted to save might have slipped through the cracks. Just like how he'd been able to bring back Ram, whose name had been eaten even through return by death. If this new checkpoint had been set after something tragic happened to his separated companions,
that can't happen. That's the one thing that can't happen.
for those who weren't here, Amelia, Beatrice, Julius, Melee, and Rem, he prayed that nothing disastrous had happened to them, that Wherever they were, beyond the reach of Natsuki Subaru's hands, they hadn't been harmed.
Arasu, you haven't been able to connect with Beatrice-sama?
I tried, but no luck. If the pass was still working, Bayako should have been able to sense me. But when I try to call her, the connection's too faint.
Could be the miasma messing with it. Spirits can't keep their breath down here. My echidna's been complaining off and on. Only one still kicking was Amelia-san.
Maybe Bayako's the same.
Beatrice, stout-hearted as she was, would probably not let out any complaints even if she wasn't feeling well. Were that to happen, Subaru would have absolutely noticed it. Beatrice being in a poor state would influence everyone else's safety as well. Upon their safe reunion, he would have to tell her off.
Which is exactly why we need to regroup with the others. Let's go! Into the depths of this cavern!
Heading deeper meant they might run into that monster again, the one that burned Subaru alive. But even so, there was no other choice. If he wanted to reunite with the people who mattered to him, he had to go forward. There was no other path.
You're the only one walking, Natsuki-kun. Ain't your footing getting worse?
I'm fine. Do take care though, since Batricé won't welcome anyone with open arms except me. Even now, it seems like she could bite off one of Bayako's drill build cars.
What a great joke. Patricia-chan's a good girl. She wouldn't do that. Ain't that right?
As they advanced deeper into the cavern, Patrash gave a soft cry to Subaru, who was leading with a lantern in hand. That cry, indeed, was the one that she used when she had no particular complaints. It seemed that, recognizing the emergency situation, Patrash remained dutiful despite carrying passengers other than Subaru. As expected of the most competent girl in the Amelia camp. With Ram and Anastasia riding on Patrash, Subaru alone made his way on foot through the sand labyrinth. The arrangement was the same as before, and the four of them continued walking towards the depths of the cavern. Compared to the previous time, they may have set out a dozen or so minutes earlier, but given that they didn't know how long that monster had been in that place, the difference probably didn't mean much.
Its lair's way over there. Maybe it's its feeding ground or its playground.
He couldn't bring himself to firmly call it a feeding ground because of the number of charred corpses that had been in that space. The scorched corpse that Subaru had grabbed was likely the remains of some animal. Judging by its shape, probably the hind legs of a quadruped. But it had showed no signs of having been eaten, and there had been countless such burnt corpses scattered around that area. If the monster had simply used fire to prepare food, it might have been called a gourmet among beasts and earned some respect for its culinary culture. But if it just burned its prey and left the corpses to rot, then it would be more natural to assume that it was just a cruel creature who enjoyed watching its prey die in flames. And that place existed for that very purpose. It was a grotesque figure, armed with abnormal amounts of heat. Subaru also feared the witch beast itself, which existed with the form wrong for a living creature, at the same time as he recalled the moment he had burned to death.
From what I could see, we should still be in the sand dunes round here, but maybe underneath it. What do you think, Natsuki-kun? Natsuki-kun?
Yeah, that's right. I think so too.
Were you actually listening to the conversation? Giving half-hearted replies is rude, you know.
Lost in thought, Subaru had nodded absent-mindedly, only for Ram to immediately catch on. Panicking, Subaru quickly waved his hands and shook his head from side to side.
No way! Of course I was listening! And on top of that, I was totally agreeing with you! 100%!
The topic was, when you sleep, it's better to take off your underwear so your breast shape doesn't sag. Remember? Are you agreeing with that? How lewd.
The one who brought up that topic to me is the lewd one here! Wait! That actually wasn't the topic! Was it?
Subaru, in a state of disbelief, turned towards Anastasia for help. She gave him a wry smile and then spoke out saying,
You shouldn't worry. Ramson was messing about just now. I don't think it proper to speak like this in such a terrible situation.
Right. Yeah, right. That scared me. I mean, it's not like Ram or Anastasia even have enough chests to worry about that they're shape-sagging or anything.
Sorry, Natsuki-kun. My hand slipped.
Why was that in past tense and hot?
A lantern was pressed to the back of his neck, and the residual heat from the magic stone's glow seared his skin. In that instant, the sensation of being burned alive resurfaced, sending a chill down his spine, but he managed to avoid rolling across the cold sand, screaming and crying. Flat on his back in the sand, Subaru glared up at the two atop the dragon.
Isn't it a cruel thing doing that all of a sudden? I would have liked at least a chance to explain.
You can't go criticizing someone's physical traits to put them down. That kind of thing is only okay if it's self-deprecating. In Karagi, you lose people's trust and end up penniless. Right, Ramson?
Mind. Besides, rams are big enough that it balances out. There's no problem.
Saying something like, "What a beautiful sibling bond of mutual compensation," would definitely earn him more disapproval, so Subaru wisely kept quiet. Grimacing at the faint sting on the back of his neck, Subaru stood up, brushed off the sand, and cleared his throat.
Anyway, let's get to the point. We were saying this place might be underground, right?
Oh, so you were listening? That's right. That's what I think. Air's heavier here than it is on the surface, and it's colder too.
Underground beneath the sand dunes. Let's hope it's not a sand earthworm's burrow.
Could be something even worse.
Anastasia clutched her robe to emphasize the chill, and Ram agreed. Subaru nodded along while subtly mixing in actual knowledge. Of course, even if it was Earth sandworms, with their current low combat lineup, fighting one off would be a nightmare. Even so, sand earthworms were still better as they somewhat had a strategy to deal with them. That other witch beast, the one Subaru had named Centaur for now, was a complete unknown. Having been instantly incinerated by it upon first encounter, he didn't know anything about its power or how to fight it. And if they clashed head-on like last time, Subaru was confident he'd die the exact same way.
Realistically, not just sand earthworms. There's always a chance of running into other witch beasts. Since we're in the dunes, we should probably go over some countermeasures.
True. That said, Rom only has her own knowledge and what she heard from Bailey along the way. Probably just basic witch beast ecology.
The witch beasts in the Auguria sand dunes are said to be more feral because of the miasma, and some of them ain't even ones that should exist in this region. Still, even basic knowledge is better than none.
When Subaru put out his suggestion, Ram and Anastasia both nodded in agreement. As a result, they talked about the witch beasts whilst they continued their search forward into the depths of the cave.
Sand earthworms stand out for their grotesque appearance and stench. But despite their aggressiveness, their bodies aren't actually that strong. They're big targets too, so Rom's magic can kill them easily. If anything, even Barasu's whip might not be totally useless against them.
Seriously? Even my whip can deal damage?
I heard they're actually pretty timid. If they get hurt, they might just retreat. Depends on what counts as painful to them, but the chance ain't zero.
I'd rather not encounter a blood pouch rat if I can help it.
With a name like Rat, it doesn't sound that dangerous.
Nah, it doesn't have any real combat power. But the way it fights is nasty. It inflates itself with air until it's bloated, and then explodes near an enemy. Its blood and guts go flying everywhere.
Ugh, don't tell me its blood is poisonous or something.
No, nothing like that. It's just disgusting. But once one of them explodes and spreads that smell, the rest of the pack come rushing over and do the same thing. You'll be drenched in blood.
That's terrifying!
As expected of the bizarre witch beasts of this land, just hearing about their behavior was enough to make one wince. After they'd talked through a fair bit of this, Subaru finally brought up what he'd been waiting on.
Alright, next to which beast I saw from afar in the sand dunes. Have you guys ever heard of one with the body of a horse, a human torso stuck on top, and fire shooting from its back?
Up to this point, they'd been discussing the ecology of witch beasts, and now Subaru brought up the centaur. With how distinctive its features are, even if it turned out to be just a particularly aggressive local variant of an existing witch beast, it might still have a known origin, and that origin could offer a clue on how to fight it. A weakness to water, because of its flames, for example, would be ideal.
Sorry, but I got nothing. What about you, Ramsan?
Unfortunately, Rom also has nothing. Just hearing about it is enough to make me hate it.
So, you guys don't know it, huh?
However, he only got those answers from both of them. It seemed that neither of them had any knowledge of a centaur or of a different kind of them with those abnormal characteristics. But that was the witch beast that they had likely first come across. He didn't want to give up on finding a breakthrough with only the answers he had received now.
You really don't know? Like, part of Patrichet's head becoming a human body, and 2 arms sticking out from there, then the torso's chest down to the stomach is split open vertically, and that's its mouth. And instead of a head coming out the top of the human's torso's neck, it's got a horn growing out.
What is that? That sounds disgusting.
Honestly, that is so off-putting.
The more detailed his explanation became, the more the girl's expressions worsened. Even Batrash, who had been used in the analogy, seemed vaguely displeased, and Subaru's shoulders slumped. It looked like they truly didn't have any leads at all.
More importantly, if you saw a witch beast, you should have reported it right away. Why would you ignore something that is obviously dangerous?
Well, that's... It was nighttime. Maybe because of Meili's divine protection, it didn't come close to us. I only saw it from a distance. It was around the time you were in the dragon carriage getting healed by a Mediatan.
Lewd.
Are you just saying that to say it now?
Trying to gloss over his lack of follow-through with excuses, Subaru felt deflated by the lack of any solid progress. When it came to dealing with the centaur, there were no countermeasures they could take ahead of time. All they could do was warn the others and try and keep them from running into the real thing.
For now, I'll call it a centaur, but I think it's a really dangerous one. The human torso had a mane growing from the back, and it was burning like fire. It gave off a vibe like it was super tenacious. Not that it had a face so I couldn't see it, but it felt like that. So, there's a chance it might even be tracking us down.
And why, exactly, would you leave something like that alone? Do you have a death wish?
Yeah, I also think the way I explained that was misleading.
He couldn't deny that his explanation had become fairly absurd in wanting to let them know of the danger. However, by telling them this as a precaution, the girls would likely be able to keep themselves on guard for danger in regards to an encounter with the centaur in the flesh. That was enough for now. Besides, countermeasures against the centaur weren't just limited to the cases where they ran into it directly. Subaru was already considering a more fundamental approach. That was...
Natsuki-kun, Ram-san, can you stop the chatter for a sec?
Anastasia said, giving Patrash the signal to stop. The smart ground dragon had already halted without being need to be told, and now lowered her head as if to confirm the command. Then, Anastasia raised the lantern in front of them and said,
There's a fork in the road.
And so, the first phase of not running into it was now directly before them. As before, a dread hung in the air at the fork, enough to make one grimace. And that dread came clearly flowing in from the right path.
Left or right? Which way do you want to go?
If we follow Kurapika's theory, going to the right is the correct option.
Who's that?
As before, Subaru's knowledge was nothing but foreign in this other world. Subaru had already experienced it with his body, so his words were not unsubstantiated.
In times like these, people tend to unconsciously pick the left side. Though various factors are at play like one's dominant hand or eye, ethology has shown actual evidence of that, especially when there are no additional conditions attached.
Ethology. What a smart word to come out of your mouth. However, are you ignoring the detestable feeling coming from the right path? Is this a condition?
Whether it would be correct or not to take the right path, this time they had to take it. Having deemed so, Subaru would have to try and persuade the others with logic. However, he still felt a strong feeling of aversion to the horrible sensation that was wafting from the right path. If they could, both Ram and Anastasia did not want to take the right path. He could see that from the look in their eyes. Persuading them and making them take the right path was what Subaru had to do. He would not let them go towards their death so easily after getting an opportunity by returning by death.
It's true there's a blatantly horrible atmosphere that's coming in from the right, but I think it's just a little too blatant. It's as if saying, don't come here, right? It's exactly like the mechanism to break through Sandtime, and the flower garden of the witch beast before the watchtower. They're far too intricate to be something that cropped up naturally. Don't you think so too?
In other words, Natsuki-kun, you want to say that the Sandtime, the flower garden, and this cave are all, well, artificial?
In contrast to Ram, who had sunk into silence, Anastasia followed what Subaru had been trying to say. Subaru snapped his fingers at hearing her response and voiced his agreement with,
That's right! They've set a bunch of traps since they want to keep us away. Why haven't we come across a single witch beast in here in nearly an hour if this wasn't something artificial? We all seem to agree that this is part of the Auguria sand dunes, and though May's not here, we haven't encountered any witch beast lairs. That's unnatural.
So, the place we are now is where someone's hand... No, where the sage's hand came into play.
And we know that the sage's personality isn't very pleasant.
Although it was an opinion which was half-coded in truth, Subaru admired that even if he spoke himself, it did not mean that he had not been able to sound persuasive. In fact, when he looked back on the journey through the Auguria sand dunes up until now, there had been many things said which would certainly be called traps that were there to impede the journey towards the watchtower. They could even be called trials. And it was a fact as well that they had not come across any witch beasts thus far in this cave. Of course, Subaru's thoughts were incorrect, as he knew that they would come across the centaur in the end. However, no, perhaps that centaur was the last guard. There was a chance that its presence was a mechanism that beckoned a last show of strength to those who came to enter the watchtower. In that case, he just had no way to express the malice in the choice of their guardian. However,
There was certainly logic, even in Barasu's point.
Huh? Seriously?
Why are you acting so surprised? Is it strange?
Subaru instinctively reacted with surprise at Ram's words, who had sunk into pensive silence. And after that, Anastasia, who had seen that response, gave a wry smile and lifted the pom-poms on her hat with both of her hands.
To tell you the truth, I really don't want to go to the right. But now that you say that our opinions have been included to settle and pick in the left, I don't want to go with it anymore.
That's an opinion that doesn't seem like you, who lives by your competitive spirit. You sure have been swept away.
Are you saying even I'll do it if your opinion becomes approved?
The wry smile on her face grew deeper, which, as a matter of fact, probably indicated that Aridna was unable to imitate the vital point that had been in Anastasia's competitive spirit. This was a last resort for her, too. She should have a difficult time deciding whether or not to get on board with Subaru's point.
So, what about you, Ram?
It is as I said. I can understand Barasu's point too, considering how things went in the sand dunes up until here. We can just agree that apart from the sage's wicked disposition, there is the fact that those unable to reach the watchtower are subject to one harsh environment after the other. That is why it is obvious that someone is meddled.
I sure don't agree with calling them natural things.
So, although I don't fully agree with your point, Barasu, it does not mean that I don't agree with some parts of it. With that said, there is no hesitation in checking the right path.
What do you mean?
It's annoying for her to do what Natsuki-kun says, but she's gonna go along with it, is what she's saying.
Anastasia politely interpreted what Ram had meant to say. In fact, it seemed like it was the correct interpretation, considering that Ram didn't correct any of it. In short, it meant that both Ram and Anastasia had accepted Subaru's cajolery.
Right! Excellent! Domo arigato! I won't make either of you regret it.
I will take at least some share of the responsibility in my choice. Do not go trying to carry my share of the burden on your back as you please. Focus on your useless resourcefulness only on Rem.
If you make me regret it, I'm gonna let you take responsibility for it. If that happens, we'll have to consult the abacus for how much it's gonna cost you. Don't you think?
Both of you are so damn harsh!
His delight was short-lived, and his speech, in which he had taken responsibility for the choice, was quickly assailed by the two of them. Although he did not know how serious Erinda's trace of Anastasia was, Erinda was putting in great efforts so that things would not end up in regret. Only that feeling was genuine.
Plus, it's not like the challenges end with just their persuasion.
Indeed, that was right. In the end, all Subaru had obtained was the right to mount a challenge. The challenge against the real hurdles would start from here on out. An overwhelmingly negative atmosphere flowed out as the fork in the road awaited their decision. They were going to take the right path, where the air lay thick and visible, ever worsening. If this was a trial that the sage had prepared, he wondered what they were thinking by choosing this to make this the path at its start.
If they're waiting for us beyond this point, then let's give them the biggest surprise possible. I'm gonna slap their face and make them apologize over and over. And after that, I'm going to make them find Amelia and the others.
Determining that, Subaru turned towards the right path and brandished his lantern there. And then, Ram gave a soft sigh behind Subaru's back.
I agree with you, but there's still a chance that Amelia-sama, along with everyone else, will make it to the watchtower before us.
Honestly, wasn't this a good spot to show off?
Subaru, whose spirit was being strained even before the challenge began, voiced out his disgruntlement. After those exchanges, the three of them and their ground dragon, the group of four, went into the right path. He still had a bad feeling, even now. That feeling seemed to make even the sand underneath his feet feel different. Whilst tasting this discomfort, Subaru wiped the cold sweat that had trickled down his forehead and grinned at Patrash.
Come to think of it, I was one to decide which way to take without hearing your opinion. Huh? Where you're going is the road I will take. And whatever road it is, no matter how harsh, you'll believe in me since I will always weather through? Hey, you're way too handsome. I'm falling in love.
He is being nonsensical, but he does not seem to be doing it by mistake. So he is being sinful, don't you think so? What good do you see in him?
Ram muttered that out, as if she were shocked upon seeing Subaru rambling on about Patrash's feelings as if it were her, whilst she remained taciturn, though Patrash would not immediately rebuff such a talk. Right now she had remained composed as if he had not said anything wrong, or she had thought it foolish to waste strength doing that, so she was saving it for when they had reached a safer place. One of the two, likely the latter.
Even so, can you go easy on me, if possible? Was that a voice of denial just now?
Despite having chosen silence until now, she abruptly left off an impatient bark of denial at what she had been said. But then, having the metal to escape safely from here, first of all, before berating him, was quite the good thing, because that meant Patrash believed that they could get out of here safely. They kept on walking without any change, with Subaru at the head and Patrash at the back. The lantern's light illuminated the way several meters ahead, making sure to tread carefully, their exploration continued. Their pace, however, had definitely slowed down compared to their way here. It was even slower than when they had taken the left road before he had returned by death. The reason why was simple.
My body is so heavy.
It was not that his weight had increased or that an invisible yokai had climbed onto his back, and in practice, it was definitely not the sort of issue that inflicted his usual corporeal self. That his body was heavy and his feet was unmoving was entirely a mental problem. Sure enough, the right path was brimming of a negative sensation that caused his feet to seize up. He had hoped that this was one of the sage's detestable triables, and that if they came out of the forked road, they would find a safe spot awaiting them ahead. Of those hopes, he did not hold a single one. But unfortunately, even though those hopes were fleeting and quickly turned, rather his negative thoughts, which felt like a curse, grew ever stronger. Gulping down some saliva, still keeping a silence, Subaru took a step forward to move his leaden feet from the sand. His feet were frozen in place. He would not move. Even if, in his heart, Subaru knew just how weak and fragile he was, he should not have felt like cowering in this passageway of sand where nothing had happened yet. Indeed, he felt no fear at heart, and even his head felt clear. Just his limbs did not try to move in line with that purpose. His flesh and body only were acting against his reason in the course of his soul. His body instinctually rejected it and tried to stop him from moving forward. It cost Subaru twice as much time, strength, and willpower to move forward, and even he could not help but feel tired.
Idiot! Can I really whine this much?
Violently shaking his head, Subaru tried to forget the feeling of tiredness that ladened his body. Choosing the right path had been no one but Subaru's decision. Even though it had been, he could not permit himself to try and whine or such before the two behind him did.
Well, this walk sure may be a little difficult, but it's no big deal. Surprisingly, our goal may be getting closer.
Barasu,
What's up?
shut up.
Oh.
His attempt at trying to drive away his whining with a show of bravado was shot down by Ram's curt toxicity. Their pace had fallen drastically, and their fear of the surroundings had also only increased. It seemed like probably even Ram was being taxed mentally. That her words were more toxic and brasher than usual was proof of that.
Hey! I get what you're feeling, but I think I suck at walking in silence.
Are you walking to enjoy yourself? Remember why we are doing this.
Well, no, but, like...
Be silent and walk.
An unapproachable, obstinate attitude. Of course, though Ram's opinion was correct, Subaru had a point as well. Right now, the weight of his body was pulling into sync with the weight on his mind. In other words, it had become a vicious cycle where the heavier his mood got, the heavier his body became. He had wanted to take their minds off it a bit so that things would not end up like that. Keeping on guard was important, as well as wanting to show some consideration, but he wanted to show them that they had understood that and took it on board. Or rather, Ram especially should take it on board. She always showed consideration. Still, she might be really struggling.
Do you reckon we should move faster? Ram?
Subaru called out, trying to determine how urgent the conditions had gotten, but Ram did not bother replying to his words at all. The light from the two lanterns, one of which was illuminating the path ahead of Subaru, and the other which was illuminating the surroundings from Batrash's neck, did not allow the particulars of Ram's expression to be seen. With her hood pulled over her head, Ram cast her eyes down to look at Anastasia's back. Her face was not visible.
Ram?
Noski-kun, ain't that quite enough?
Huh?
Stopping in his tracks, Subaru turned his head around to try and look at her expression, but Ram, stubborn as she was, did not allow him to see her face. And on top of all that, Anastasia had defended her. Seeing Subaru's lips bend in frustration, Anastasia scratched her cheek with a troubled expression adorning her face.
I hadn't mentioned it, but Ramson was considerably flustered after waking up underground. Her composure seemed to have come back because of how plucky she is. But I guess it still looks she hasn't fully regained it.
You're saying too much!
Look, will you leave this to me?
While Anastasia had put some consideration to Ram's feelings, her words lacked in it. Having just hidden her innermost thoughts divulged, Ram gritted her teeth, and that could be heard all around them, but Anastasia took no notice of it. She raised one of her small hands and pointed it in front of her so Subaru could see it.
We shouldn't talk right now, when your nerves are frayed to the limit. No matter who says what, nothing good will come out of it. Ain't that right? Ain't that right?
Although it annoyed him, Anastasia, or rather Aridna, had a point. He had put too much priority in trying to move forward and getting out of the cave safely. Subaru this time definitely had not been able to consider Ram's feelings much. The price for doing that had come back to bite him here, and mayhap had ended up expressed in Ram's attitude. Now that he thought about it, it was overly hasty of him to assume that there was a problem because of Ram.
You're right. You're definitely right. My bad.
Reflect on that.
Hey! You!
Stop that. No fighting. Come on, Natsuki-kun. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward.
Subaru's nerves had become frayed upon seeing Ram's attitude, which gave no signs of letting up. However, Anastasia had gone in between them and somehow stopped him there. She then pointed at Subaru, motioning him to move forward. She nudged the lantern that was fastened around Patrash's neck with her feet, rocking it about. Seeing the silhouettes of the passageway of sand flickering across his sight, Subaru clicked his tongue. Although he was unable to stomach her attitude, there would be no point in letting them fall into strife here. Fortunately, he could excuse it as the unpleasant atmosphere influenced the highs and lows in their mood. While he could lay the blame on something, there was no need to worsen their relations with such an unnecessary thing. They could talk about their current foul attitudes when they made it safely out of here.
Let's get going.
Once again, the search spearheaded by Subaru resumed. However, their pace was still slow and did not get any faster. In the end, his so-called attempt at pissing up their spirits and removing loads from their body had failed. Since nothing had changed for the better, the chances of the situation improving had naturally become zilch. Even so, when it came to change, there had been some, and it was not a change within Subaru and the others, but rather a change in the maze of sand itself.
No matter how you look at it, the path has become narrower.
They had probably spent an hour steadily advancing towards the right path. The pathway of sand was narrowing from the left, right, top, and bottom. The height and width of the path was reaching a size that would make it impossible for large wish beasts to pass through. There was just enough space for Patrash to squeeze through. However, it was at a size where it was not wide enough to accommodate the dragon carriage which Gion pulled. Likely, it was impossible for sand earthworms and centaurs to pass through too. At least, in other words, when it came to the worst situation, i.e. a centaur lying in wait ahead on that path, the situation seemed to have been avoided. Compared to that, no matter what laid ahead, at least they had seemed to have avoided going towards that terrible direction.
But it looks like we'll have to be more cautious, since the paths become narrower. We'll probably end up unable to move without any warning. You guys will need to be on your guard too. Oi.
Subaru, who had said that without thinking about what would happen soon, raised one of his eyebrows at the sudden sound. Turning his head back, he looked at the two on Dragonback who were illuminated by their lanterns. No one responded to Subaru's shout. However, he knew that Anastasia, who was sitting at the front on top of Patrash, had covered her face with the palm of her hands. That seemed natural for Anastasia, who wanted in one way or another to move forward and keep things rolling along smoothly. Anyway, what Ram had done now was that she had... At Subaru's words.
What the hell's your problem? Huh? What are you trying to do?
Nothing in particular.
Don't give me that crap! I'm asking you what the hell you're trying to do!
Unable to take it anymore, Subaru raised his voice and kicked the sandy wall right beside him.
The brittle surface crumbled away in chunks, but he paid no mind to the scattered sand. All that Subaru saw right now was the insolent Ram.
You keep walking in silence, but I can hear you damn well. Click, 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 over and over! That tongue clicking. This isn't the first time, is it? Huh? Hey, what the hell is your problem?
There's nothing. I have nothing to say to you, Barasu.
So you just go around clicking your tongue all the time for no reason? You don't, do you? So if you are doing it, that means there's a reason for it!
In contrast to Ram's cold demeanor, Subaru's frustration was only heating up more and more. Of course it was, for everything Subaru had done, all the effort he had put in up until now, Ram had given him nothing but coldness and dismissal. He hadn't even done anything to deserve being belittled or looked down upon.
If you've got something to say, then say it! I'll listen. So come on! Say it already!
I told you. There's nothing.
Liar! What? Are you stupid? If you're gonna hide it, then hide it all the way! Don't half show it! Act like you're not doing anything, and then say nothing is going on! That's idiotic! You dumbass!
Spittle flying, Subaru hurled insults and Ram's demeanor visibly changed. Still holding on to the back of Anastasia, she tilted her body down to glare at Subaru. This posture alone pissed him off. Hiding behind someone else, looking down on him from above? What? Did she think that she was something special because she had someone else backing her now?
You seem awfully eager to keep moving forward, Barasu.
Of course I am! What the hell do you think we came here for? To meet the sage, right? That's why we're going through all of this shit! So what's wrong with pushing forward?
You're wrong. We didn't come here to meet the sage.
Huh?
We came here to bring Rem back to normal.
With a piercing gaze, Ram stated that clearly and directly. The sharpness of her stare and the weight of her presence took Subaru aback, making the heat in his head cool just a little. Saving Rem and meeting the sage. Weren't they the same thing?
It's the same thing, isn't it? Meeting the sage, saving Rem. It's all the same!
It's not the same. Saving Rem comes first, meeting the sage comes after. The priorities are different. Yeah, you've got them all wrong.
At the end of her sentence, Ram's voice trembled. The immense emotion she had packed into those words easily outweighed the complete lack of feeling she'd shown up until now. An inferno of rage. Beneath the cold sands of the underground, Ram went on, carrying the heat of that anger in her voice.
Ram came here for Rem, to remember her little sister. And yet what are we doing now? Rem is not even here. We're just dawdling around in a place like this. Don't mock me.
No one's mocking anything! This happened, so now that it has, we have to do what we could do because it happened. Am I wrong?
Yes, maybe you're right. But before you went to confirm what had happened, Barasu, did you once worry about Rem? You woke up underground. Did you worry about Rem? What about Emilia-sama? What about Beatrice-sama? Did you worry about any of the people who were missing?
Her questions came one after the other, and Subaru was left speechless. It was true. When he woke after return by death this time, unlike before, Subaru didn't panic or immediately start asking about everyone's safety. But it wasn't because he didn't care. It was because he knew Ram and the others weren't aware of what he had gone through. That was Subaru's way of being considerate, his way of showing care. And yet...
No, you didn't. You didn't, Barasu. You don't care about Rem at all. Your head's full of Emilia-sama and Beatrice-sama. And that's fine. That's just the kind of man you are. But I feel bad for Rem.
Shut up.
Didn't Rem believe in you, Barasu? Ah, but that's just a convenient story you told me, isn't it, Barasu? Maybe you were just saying whatever popped into your head. You only say what's convenient in front of women. I feel bad for Emilia-sama and Beatrice-sama as well, deceived by such a man.
Shut the fuck up!
No, I will not! How many times must I repeat myself? Barasu, You do not care about Rem at all. Even if she can't be found, you'd feel relieved.
Don't you mess about with me!
His vision flushed red, and the recklessly thrown words made his nerves blaze with fury. Looking down above him from above, spouting her selfish words, the arrogance girl sparked an explosion of rage in him. He reached out to grab her and drag her down. Even that brief time it took was maddening.
Invisible Providence!
The pitch-black emotions racing through his mind surged into his chest and burst free. The black hand that had been born cried out in triumph, slithering upward and climbing onto the back of the ground dragon. It then hurled the pink-haired girl who'd been accusing him from a perch. Ram let out a scream as she was thrown violently onto the sand. Blindsided by the invisible violence of the unseen sand, Ram lay there, dazed, her expression not understanding what had just happened. Subaru rushed over to her as she laid sprawled in the sand. And then...
Don't screw with me.
That he didn't care about Rem, that he felt nothing for her. Don't be ridiculous! In a fit of rage, all reason melted away, driven by fevered, overboiling thoughts. Subaru straddled the fallen ram and wrapped his hands around her slender neck, choking her. Creak, 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 creak.
Holy shit.
Oh my god.
That was peak.
Okay, I
Job,
was tripping
Chase.
at the end there a bit, but no.
No, I love that.
Oh
ending.
my
That was
God.
great.
That was amazing.
Oh, that was hard work, but that was so much fun.
Listening to that with
That was-
Rybat and Kaitos' theme in the background. Oh boy!
Oh, that'll be
You guys all
perfect.
did an amazing job, and ow, oh my god, the way you matched the narration to how it was getting more eerie and just ramping up in tension and anger was so good. Like, the way you finished off that chapter was genuinely one of the best I've heard. Amazing job.
Thank you. That's why I wanted
Wow.
chapter
Genuinely.
14, honestly.
That was amazing, Al. That was absolutely amazing. And Wolf, oh my god. Yeah, that was perfect. If Discord didn't screw it up a little.
I think it still came through on the actual
Yeah, they came through
stream.
on the stream.
Luckily,
Should've.
yeah, because we
I was-
set it up this way, it should have come through the stream.
I kept it.
Yeah,
I
it
was on
did.
top of those controls. Those controls were managed.
I really appreciate it. Sorry, it's really hard to keep a consistent tone with Super, especially in like ramping scenes like this. So you're doing
When
an
he
amazing
doesn't
job.
keep a consistent tone.
Yeah.
Nah, it was amazing. Wolf, 100 out of 10. That was just peak.
Oh, thank you. I put a lot of effort into that. At first I was thinking of practicing a little, but I thought maybe if I just put a bit more raw emotion into it first, that might work a bit better. And it seems to have worked out well.
Yeah, just go raw.
Yeah.
Raw dog it.
I
This is the same person who like thought he could not do anger. Like, I've never seen you angry before. Maybe one odd
Yeah.
time in these 4 years, almost 5 years I've known you.
I'm just not a very angry person.
All of you at home, Wolf's biggest complaint about his own performance as Subaru is that he can't do him angry.
You can't do him angry, quote unquote.
Chat, what do you think? Did you get angry?
Now you guys are making me blush. Fuck.
You've been worried about
No,
that
it
for
was-
a long time. Now you don't have to worry about chapter 15.
It was the anger too.
Yeah,
It was
but
the anger too that you had that was like giving my narration the emotion, because I was like, a lot of the time it was, oh, he was that pissed. Okay, let's roll with that.
and this is the one awesome thing
Oh,
about
yeah.
doing this, right? Is like in the text, it's really hard to come across, but I think when you hear it, like it really comes across how scary this scene is, because you've never seen Ram, Subaru, or hell, even Aridna so far be like this toxic, truly mean anger and spite. So you know something is wrong, but it's one of the most tense and memorable scenes of the entire story, in my opinion.
It is genuinely just the slow buildup of like even from where they start, you can tell that they're all super tense about something, and Ram is like hinting at like, and Rem is this way too, and you should save all that energy for Rem, shouldn't you? You can tell that she's getting more and more upset about it the entire time. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it's like Ram fits so perfectly for this scene too because it's the transition from like little, half-hearted insults to straight up low blows, and like no other character can transition that smoothly.
And
I feel without
and
it being like an immediate weird jump.
yeah, and I know it seems weird to take it from this angle, but I think it's actually a very valid reasoning. To take this to like some gendered stuff, right? Like Subaru is not always the most masculine of men. Like he's very flexible in terms of like his own femininity and such things like that.
What? No.
Nah.
You're not being hyper masculine.
Whilst he worries a lot about what people expect of him, there isn't as much focus on what that means to be a man sometimes. But I think as he's getting more like frustrated, anxious, angry because he's just suffered something terrible and something is making him more anxious, more worried, and he's trying to be considerate in every way he can be, not realizing that because he's like come into this without freaking out about Ram thinks he's a scumbag, right? At least in this moment.
Yeah.
And it adds that element of like the way I was projecting it was you're emasculating me, you're challenging me, the one who should be in charge here. This is like full pride, no virtue Subaru fully coming out.
Well, it's also claiming that his main motivation's just not there.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't expressed it at all this loop.
It's the biggest spit in
Like,
the
you
face.
think I don't care?
Yeah.
How fucking dare you!
I just also love
Oh,
swearing
God.
at Subaru. It feels so fucking good.
Especially when it's like actually there. I missed
Yeah.
one line in the touch-ups this time of the "don't mess around with me." Should have been "don't screw with me." But that's shoot. Oh well.
That's
So
Well, that's
okay.
the thing we can fix in post.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We can fix that in post.
But I
Rom,
really hope you guys
Rom's also a good.
enjoyed this performance today. Please keep on letting us know what you think. But
Yeah.
what are you guys thinking overall of like the tone of this like mini arc in this phase like so far? It's really interesting, eh?
Because it's gonna get even worse on Saturday too. Saturday noon EST. We're back, by the way, with
Spoilers.
chapters 15 and 16.
We so bad.
We're gonna keep going. Keep it. It's
Yeah.
gonna get worse. Ready for Tealdi's
The
narration?
bottom of the graph. Ooh.
I literally gave
Oh,
her
yeah.
chapter 15 without any warning, and she came back to me and went, "What was that?"
Trauma.
Kyle's, I don't know
Yeah.
if I want to be here anymore.
No, I didn't say that.
Nah.
When we were planning out chapters and like deciding, okay, who's going to narrate what, who we're going to give the chapters out to either like new narrators or experienced cast, and who we're going to reward, was the first thing we decided was, well, chapter 15 has to go to Tealdi.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's your little reward for being with us all this time.
Trauma.
Thank you for guilty. Now read the chapter.
Fucking read.
I had a whole script written too to be like, hey, just by the way, be careful, blah, blah, and never sent it. I worked hard to
Nah,
do
it's
it. This is
I,
why-
I did it. I
No,
sent it to you, and then you were
oh my
like, "Oh my
God.
gosh, I forgot to warn you. I'm sorry."
You were a trooper, though, and thank you for dealing with my shit.
Just like to pay, you warned her after the chapter.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
such
exactly,
bullshit.
exactly.
And then in the Discord, I did link some of the bloopers that I had in there. So
Oh my God,
that
yes.
gives a bit of brevity to it.
Thank you.
Where it's like all serious. Now it's like, wait, no, damn it, that's wrong.
Yeah, guys, 13-14, we did a fucking great job today. We're really getting into the swing of these live readings. I think it's very much like how we did with Arc 5, where it takes a bit of growing pains, growing room, especially with doing the format again, right?
Yeah.
But it's really coming through, and it's so much fun.
Oh, it's been a
By
blast
the way,
to be back. Hi.
Yeah.
Thanks to Grismo for the super chat during that chapter. We appreciate it. It was a fire chapter.
Thank you so much!
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna do a quick shout out run to everyone who fan funded, gifted memberships, everything. We got Andre coming into the Hoshin Company. We got Lemon Lime. Thank you, Vortex, Zoc, Jack, Super Trollin, Greenie. Greenie in the chat here. Zoc again.
Green.
Nihilist, Jack again, Jester, Marcos, and Grisson for all the super chats. Oh, as well as Only Ice. And thank you to Jack of Trades 2 times for 10 gift subs overall, and also joining the hosting company again. If you join us as a member, you will get early access to the podcast, as well as sometimes I post some special stuff behind the scenes, updates for you guys. But you get everything in advance. Except for live streams, of course, because, well, we have to do those live. But you guys will probably get the first access to the pre-recorded chapters once they're done. That also means you guys help us out if there's any mistakes. You can just type it in if you're a member. Be like, hey, Kyles, this wasn't edited right. Can you go fix this timestamp? And I can re-upload it before the final one's out. So you help us.
Indeed.
It's twofold.
You all are honorary editors.
Yes.
Take your job with pride.
Thank you so
We're
much.
giving our work to you.
I'm really good at getting people to do work for me and pay me instead of me pay them. So thanks. Appreciate y'all. I'm so sorry.
And if you are eager to contribute even more than just becoming a member or watching and liking the stream, as always, then keep your eye out, because in the next month or so, we're going to be posting our call for Arc 7 auditions. We have a lot of characters ready for a lot of people to join in.
And
It's going to be amazing.
Please, even if you haven't voice acted before, especially you big ReZero fans out there, like, lend your voice, audition. You never know. You might be perfect for that role. Even, and I say this genuinely because before I did any of this, I didn't think I could voice act for shit. I didn't even really conceptually think, oh wow, maybe I could voice act, and here I am now. So please, I'm begging you, if you have a character you love, a character you think whose voice you might be able to match, if we see the potential, we will put in the effort to work with you. Please audition.
And if anyone comes in our chat and is an asshole about it, I roast them aggressively. It is what I do for fun.
Solemn duty.
It's my solemn
It's
duty.
your solemn duty.
I will roast, I will lecture, and I will fight
Higher
adamantly. That is my higher
The
calling.
mom job.
Older sister role. That is my role. Tealdi is our server mom.
Yes.
What's funny is
Literally,
that
I
you
figured
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's funny is Kyle's only posts the tamed down version of those roasts as well. If you can hear in the DMs just how upset she gets and mad at some people just to come in like, hey, if you could, please don't be mean. Thanks, heart, love you, bye.
Internally,
yeah.
I'm calling you every name in the fucking book, and it is my hobby. Yes, you are right.
No one talks shit about our VAs or our staff.
Common so real. I am punchy Jojo Amelia. You just don't see it.
Collects insults like Pokemon.
I do.
Like Pokemon.
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah,
Double hit.
yeah, so that way she can distribute them to all.
I don't know if
Has
you do
like a
that
whole
with
dossier.
Collect you, grab you, lecture you, shame you publicly. That's my goal in life. If you
Boil and mash some
harass
demons,
them.
too.
Yes.
It's a process.
Only for online culture, of course, of course. I'm a
Yeah.
teacher in the day. I'm not allowed to shame them.
Yeah, guys, Studio
To their
Reverie is
face.
entirely just set up so that she can shame people online. Like that's the real reason Studio Reverie exists. It's not the
Yeah.
live reads or
It's-
readings.
My
for
plan
chapters.
It's
from the
just a
first
stress
audition.
relief.
It is. It's kind of like a smash room. What are the breaking room?
We finished
Oh,
Arc
yeah.
5 out of spite.
We
Yes.
did.
Yes. No, that
Yeah.
wouldn't have been done because I wanted to prove to everyone who was like, oh, they can never get anything done. Oh, they can't be consistent. That's why this shit's consistent, bitch. Spite.
Note that.
Who's consistent
It's a
now?
powerful
you tiny,
motivator
tiny
and emotion.
people.
14 chapters. Twice a week now. Do I do most of that work? No, I just show up and run the stream. I let
That
other
is
people
still a
do that
lot of
for me.
work. We are
still
divvying up
work.
the labour
It's still
a lot more efficiently than we used to. Come on, give us credit, you know?
I am the slave driver, yes.
Amelia telling you truly are a slave driver.
I am. And that's what I want. Communism has not gone well yet, and she kind of falls into that category. And we want that for her!
Hasn't gone right
Uh-oh.
yet.
Greenie,
Holy shit,
what
Greenie.
the fuck?
Holy balls.
Why are you in here dropping that shit? And just laughing. Fuck, now
Oh
I'm
my
gonna actually
God,
have to
Greenie,
do
what the
that,
hell?
man. Alright, we're $30 away.
It says, amazing chapter deserves this.
Heckin' Greenie.
Thank you so much. Oh my god, we're so close to Lost If. Fuck.
Well, Connor, get
Yeah.
ready to
Oh,
run.
Yeah, that puts
Gold?
Well,
That puts,
Thanks for listening.
Boys,
Okay,
we got a
90
creative project on the
Chatter's
way.
$10.
We,
To be fair, I can't overkill myself either.
Straight,
No,
please
don't
pay
do
your
that.
rent.
That would be irresponsible.
Thank you.
Already done with rent.
Oh
I
my
only
God.
get paid once a month, so it sucks.
What's a month? Don't
Once a
spend
month?
anymore. Don't
What the
spend.
fuck?
Shouldn't even
That's crazy.
spend this. Oh my God.
Oh, no,
Eli,
it's
Freddy,
worth
the
it.
goal
This
is
is worth
for
it. This
the
is my
Lost If
extra.
adaptation.
This is worth it.
Greenie makes me want to throw up right now for you. Oh my gosh. Terrible financial
That's
decision,
crazy.
but thank you.
That's crazy.
The anxiety I
I
get
could eat.
thinking about that. That's crazy.
Or
Or
I could eat for a month, or I could pay the Lost
Oh,
If
plus-
fund.
Lost If.
Oh my god, I think someone
Thanks.
actually...
Thank you, Eli. Or
Thank
Ellie.
you, E.
whichever one that is.
Freddy.
Now it's 10. Now it's 10, guys. We have $10.
Oh my god, we really are that close?
I
That's
can't
insane.
No,
believe we're
10%, not 10.
Oh, 10%.
10%, not $10.
Okay, yeah.
$20.
So that
so
1999
it'll be $9.50.
puts it
I'm
at.
sure.
We're 50 left. Oh god.
We're pulling up holographic numbers right now.
Holy
All right.
shit.
Oh my gosh, maybe I'll call
956.
him.
Kyle's.
9:56.
Yeah, time to call the fanfiction writers. Get in here. We need
Oh my god.
It's like the Avengers.
Hiring
Assemble moment.
fanfiction
We just
writers
need
on
the
staff.
strongest ReZero fanfiction.
Oh, well.
Girl.
Yeah.
Do or do not search me up on AOE, Wattpad, and
Hey, y'all
fanfic.net.
Yeah.
I am only
It's
on
not our-
fanfic.net.
It's not a ReZero, but I have dabbled.
That's crazy.
Same.
Taylor's
I
got some good
still
shit out
haven't
there.
posted my chapter.
Oh my god.
Guys,
Some of it
people
is
from the
spicy,
Zine. Let's get the people
more.
from the Zine.
Whilst I have infinite motivation to write
no,
ReZero fanfiction, I'm so fucking autistic with I have to read every bit of side content, so it's as close to canon as possible. But with my own thing, I just couldn't do
Yeah.
it. It's just too much. I'd have to read every bit of content before I'd feel comfortable doing it.
I actually follow the same method, Wolf, but mine sucks because I'm like, I have to do a few things through Lust If, and I actually hate it. It's the only one that's the reason why I've taken too long to write.
Hey, thanks,
Thank
Connor.
you, thank you, Palazar. Thank you.
Yeah, go get the writers from the Zine, the ReZero
You're
Zine,
welcome.
get them to write it.
Why are you guys paying this? you literally work
I
here.
ain't seen a crazier reason to donate ever than because of
Kyle's,
LCD.
it is genuinely because I can't stand seeing that 0.6% on there.
Oh my lordy.
Thank you.
What are we?
I
960.
appreciate it.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, we're at
40 left.
I think
40?
we're probably getting a bit too cracked now, though. We've reached the
Green,
end of
we're
our
not going to
tether.
count it if you do the last bit. You've done too much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep your food money. All right.
Look, I have lived for 2 weeks off of nothing but ramen and tang. Do not
Oh.
Oh
recommend.
my.
Fuck, been there, done
Oh,
that.
are you my
Don't do
are
that.
you my super senior year of college?
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
I'm my first month in my apartment on my own.
Oh,
Heck
yeah.
Because
That's
someone didn't know about startup costs for utilities.
Oh.
No, same,
Oh,
same.
But
Yeah, that
you know what
first
you're going to
month
be
was
paying
rough.
instead of those starting costs? You could be paying the Lost If Fund.
Yeah, you can be paying the Lust If fund.
Hey,
You guys go.
It's only
needs
2 Uber Eats from McDonald's.
But that's
God.
2 Uber Eats from McDonald's, man. That's worth
that's
it.
crazy.
Not worth
because
it
you
for
really
me.
depending
will
on
be
what you're
eating
gonna
good.
eat that.
You'll be eating good. God damn it!
Oh my lordy.
It's like what, 3 Minecraft meals?
Oh my god.
Yeah,
my God.
something like that.
Oh yeah.
Minecraft movie.
No.
How
The
many beef
Minecraft meal,
burgers
bro.
is that?
I
How many
win.
beefs per-
Okay, all of your petty
Beef
North
burger.
American poverty. British poverty is better, more powerful. Okay.
You had
Have
salt
you
on your
have you
bread.
ever been so low that you toast bread and put salt on it and that's your meal? I win. God damn it! I fucking win.
It's only 2 beef
I did that
burgers.
this morning.
That's a comment.
Comment!
No.
No,
Dude,
I'm so sorry.
no wonder why the coffee got you. Oh my god.
The salt and bread.
I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry for your loss.
I understand.
It's so over.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for letting us drain your pockets as well. $40 away, and we will continue that on Saturday. We will be back Saturday as well for chapters 15 and 16. We will also have the next episode of the podcast live on Friday. For members, it'll be a couple days earlier. This will be phase 5 of Arc 8. And then we will do phase 1 of Arc 9, Arc 6 review, and then I think we'll go to your next Arc 9 review. Woohoo! We're going to be trying to collab with some people soon, especially as the boys have caught up with Arc 9.
Oh, I'm so
this
close!
week. Hopefully, we can get Ed back, yes. Now that he's completed, we have a couple of friends we want to interview from Witch Cult, as well as we want to bring Sea Tactics back on.
Yes!
So we will hopefully see them all very, very soon. Thank you all for being here tonight. We will see you Saturday live for the next chapters. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone!
Bye.